Looking back at my brief existence, it's been rather bleak. Before high school tracking, I was practically born for humanities, but for my childhood sweetheart and my parents' belief that liberal arts had no future, they altered my track selection, ended up choosing STEM, yet 10 years of waiting couldn't earn me a shred of sincerity. On my 27th birthday, he married someone else, while I met with a car accident on a business trip, torn limb from limb, in that final blink. My whole life flashed before me like a reel of film, freezing on Lin Yu's face twisted with disgust. Lin Yu, if I had another chance, I wouldn't choose you again. I groggily opened my eyes, suddenly spotted our homeroom teacher's shiny bald head outside the door. Holy shit, I got the fright of my life. Since when do underworld realms have homeroom teachers? Are they implementing compulsory education down there now? Before I could process what was happening, the homeroom teacher walked in through the back door. He rapped his knuckles twice on my desk. Su Xingqing, come to my office. This feels so real. Are you serious? Didn't I die? Am I alive again? 1. I turned around and saw my homeroom teacher's smiling face. Am I actually reborn? So now what? I'm done for. Those 2 words keep echoing in my head. Got caught napping during night study. Another heart-to-heart lecture coming my way. I trailed behind my homeroom teacher with my head hung low. We passed several teachers along the way, all giving me strange looks. I couldn't help muttering to myself, what now? Did I do something wrong? That can't be right. I remember being a model student in high school. Xingqing, I know you did well on this exam, but you can't let your guard down. Falling asleep during evening self-study, you'd never do something like that before. Have you been pushing yourself too hard lately? I found myself staring blankly at the thinning hair on my homeroom teacher's head. Good grades, me, how many years has it been since I last heard that? The last time someone praised my academic performance was back in freshman year. I snapped back to reality abruptly. So this is our evening self-study after the first monthly exam of freshman year. Su Xingqing, Mr. Dong, our homeroom teacher, called my name again. I quickly put on my best behaved expression and obediently admitted my mistake. I'm sorry, teacher, it won't happen again. I was just really tired today. I promise there won't be a next time. With my good girl appearance and usual behavior, the homeroom teacher didn't give me too hard a time and quickly moved on from the topic. By the way, did you choose science track on that subject selection form we got last time? It suddenly hit me after our first monthly exam. The teacher had handed out subject preference forms. Though I'd obediently followed my parents' advice and picked science, I secretly resented it since I was actually the top humanities student in my grade, nearly acing every subject. But back then, I still lacked the courage to rebel. Su Xingqing, I've reviewed your grades with your other teachers. Your science subjects, especially math and physics, are below passing. If you're serious about STEM, you'll need to step up your game. Teacher, can I switch to liberal arts? I suddenly blurted out to Brother Dong. Brother Dong choked on his words. Why this sudden change to liberal arts? After considering my grades, I realized I'm more drawn to humanities. It's where my strengths lie, I said vaguely. All right, just think it through. Humanities might limit your job options later, but if you excel at it, that won't really matter. Take your time deciding, don't just flip-flop. Got it, teacher. I hung my head and shuffled back to the classroom. In my past life, my physics grades remained terrible right up until the stream selection. My homeroom teacher advised me to choose humanities to avoid dragging down my overall performance. Though I initially opted for arts, a momentary lapse made me yield to parental pressure, and my crush on Lin Yu, switching to science, physics became my Achilles heel, pulling down my other subjects too. Eventually, I faded into mediocrity, struggling to survive in the brutal job market, returning to my seat. I stared at the first monthly exam results, lost in thought. Chinese, 137 math, 101 English, 145 politics, 96 history, 90 geography, 88 physics, 30 chemistry, 73 biology, 71. I vaguely remember being paraded around campus by my physics teacher after that disastrous exam score. The gist was encouraging me not to lose heart. It's perfectly normal to struggle with the first exam, and I'll gradually improve over time, but perhaps I genuinely lack the natural aptitude for this. No matter how many practice problems I do, when exam time comes, what I don't know still remains unknown. At this thought, I couldn't help but sigh. A voice whispered in my ear, "Why sigh when you aced the test?" Startled, I turned to see my deskmate Yan Yu. "Geez, you scared me to death." She rolled her eyes. What did the homeroom teacher want with you this time? What else? Got busted sleeping in class. Oh. The last evening study session passed amidst all the horseplay. And before we knew it, morning arrived, early in the morning, while drowsily reciting texts and barely surviving the 50-minute marathon reading session. I was just about to take a nap when someone picked a fight with me. Sis, you must be Brother Yu's childhood sweetheart. Right, I'm his girlfriend, Sujia. The girl in front of me said in a sugary voice dripping with affectation. I sized up the girl, probably a freshman too, with long flowing hair and quite pretty features. Though her foundation was noticeably pale, her lipstick overly bright, the makeup was glaringly obvious. No idea how she slipped past the faculty's inspection. I forced what I thought was a gentle smile. Need something, classmate? Since I heard you grew up with Yuaji, I wanted to meet you and learn more about people close to him. Sujia fidgeted before adding coyly, after all, I'm his girlfriend now. Seriously, could she be any more obvious about flaunting this relationship? How thoughtful of her to personally deliver the announcement. I'm truly honored. Listen, I should clarify, Lin Yu and I aren't particularly close. At best, we've been neighbors for over a decade, but childhood sweethearts is pushing it, and honestly, you don't need my approval to date him. That's between you two, I explained. Did I upset you? I never meant to bother you. Something I said must have struck a nerve. The girl's eyes welled up instantly, on the verge of tears. Just then, Lin Yu showed up and immediately said something that made me want to punch him. Su Xingqing, when will you stop bullying Jeju again? Are you? His face burned with anger, as if I'd committed some unforgivable crime. If I were still 16, I might have swallowed my pride and taken this injustice lying down, but I'm 27 now. Lin Yu, what exactly do you mean by again? How many times have I supposedly bullied her? Don't tell me I haven't. Even if I did, she started it. I can't believe you. And yet people still treat you like some prize catch. Your little girlfriend made a special trip to announce your relationship to me. What's that about? Marking her territory or picking a fight? She can't seriously think there's anything between us. Lin Yu's face grew darker by the second. But I'd never felt more exhilarated in my past life. It was precisely because I'd been too meek for too long that they thought I was an easy target. Ignoring Lin Yu's darkened, sullen face, I turned to Sujia. And Sujia, maybe tone down the makeup a bit. If the dean sees you, I wonder if your natural face can still live up to being the class beauty. With that, the class bell rang, and I turned back to enter the classroom. The first period is English class. Our English teacher enjoys randomly calling on students for impromptu speaking practice before class. In my past life, being naturally introverted, I rarely volunteered despite my decent English grades, so she usually went easy on me. As usual, she asked, would anyone like to volunteer for today's sharing session? I glanced around the classroom to find all my classmates quietly avoiding eye contact. Just then, a haughty voice chimed in, Teacher Su Xingqing signed up with me after class saying she wants to do this presentation. Frowning, I turned to see Zhang Shuyao, our English class representative. We'd never gotten along, not just because I consistently outperformed her in English, but also because she believed I'd stolen her spot in the English competition. Su Xingqing, please come up, the English teacher said with an encouraging smile, reluctantly standing up. I began, hello everyone. Today I'd like to share a novel I recently read, drawing on the English skills honed through my past professional struggles. I casually showed off my fluency. Okay, very good, the English teacher remarked with visible delight. I calmly took my seat and caught my deskmate's admiring gaze. I couldn't help but chuckle. Girls really are the cutest, while men are just passing clouds. Well, except for those fake sweet ones. I quietly fished out a preserved plum candy from my pocket and slipped it into my deskmate's hand. Her eyes sparkled brightly, and the smile tugging at her lips was impossible to hide. I stole a glance at Zhang Shuyao and caught the venomous look she hadn't yet managed to conceal. Seriously, acting like I stole her boyfriend or something. I rolled my eyes and ignored her. After class, my English teacher gestured for me to come to her office. When I arrived, she explained there'd be an English speech competition in 2 weeks. Having noticed my decent oral performance in class, she wanted to ask if I'd be interested in participating. I stared blankly at the registration form in my hands. If I remained as timid and silent as in my past life, would the teacher ever notice my speaking skills or give me this opportunity, just like in my previous life? I'd never even heard about this speech competition. Alright, teacher, I'll participate. I heard myself say, indeed, some things must be earned through one's own efforts. Gold will always shine. but only if it dares to break through the earth. Succeed, and you'll blaze brilliantly. Fail, and you'll become mere grains of sand in the Jinsha River, buried beneath dust and soil, yet without breaking free from the depths. Even the finest gold remains just another clod of dirt. 2 weeks flew by. I'd memorized my speech inside out. And my English teacher had polished several errors while coaching me on key presentation points. Entering the school auditorium, I found it packed wall to wall with people. Taking a deep breath, I stepped onto the stage to draw my lot. Number 11, a perfectly middling position. For my present self, this was my first major speech competition, but for my 27-year-old self, public speaking had become second nature. Stepping onto the stage, I flashed a smile at the audience below and began my speech. 1 minute, 2 minutes, time's up. Having delivered a solid performance, I let out a quiet sigh of relief. After the event, I returned to class for self-study as usual, having decided to pursue humanities this time around. I've been focusing more on building my knowledge base. The freshman curriculum wasn't too demanding for me, so I'd occasionally borrow history books and English magazines from the school library. The next morning, I was greeted by my desk mate's excited chatter the moment I entered the classroom. Ching ching. Did you see the school confession wall? Oh my god, someone posted your speech competition video from yesterday. You looked absolutely stunning. Speech contest. I listened but was totally lost. It's from yesterday's contest announcement. Half the campus is looking for you on the confession wall. See? The girl on screen wore just a white tee and jeans, her fresh-faced radiance needing no makeup. What truly dazzled was her flawless delivery and natural confidence, every gesture exuding magnetic charm. So, this is how others see me. I scrolled through the comments below. Oh my god, this girl is absolutely stunning. How did no one notice her before? That's probably the top student from class 1, the genius who scored 137 in Chinese last time. Heard from her classmates that she's usually pretty introverted and doesn't talk much. Introverted? If she's introverted, then I must be socially impaired. Her English is flawless, she's gorgeous, and top of the class. Might as well just end me now. Sobs. Reading their comments made me blush. This was my first time being the center of public attention, and you know what? It kind of feels nice, though maybe it's thanks to my past life's habits. After Reborn, I've been diligent with skincare and eating clean. My acne cleared up, complexion brightened. Dare I say I've actually gotten prettier, I thought uncertainly. Soon came the day for choosing subjects in the second semester of 10th grade. Attention everyone, said Mr. Dong, our homeroom teacher, adjusting his glasses. Hand in your subject selection forms at the podium and you're dismissed. Staring at the bold letters reading Arts Science Track Preference Form, I decisively wrote down Politics History Geography without hesitation. My deskmate Yang Yu widened her eyes at what I'd written. Ching ching, you're choosing liberal arts, MHM, I nodded. But, if your mom finds out you picked liberal arts, she'll skin you alive, she gasped. I was practicing mom's signature when my pen hesitated mid-stroke at her words. My mind involuntarily echoed mom's shrill voice. Liberal arts, what future does that hold? I've slaved to raise you all these years. If not for you, I'd have divorced your father ages ago. You will obey me. I clenched my pen tighter. Let her have her way then. A commotion erupted at the classroom's back door as Lin Yu strolled in, one hand casually tucked in his pocket. Sunlight traced his tall silhouette. The boy I'd been infatuated with for over a decade in my past life was now walking toward me. Su Xingqing. He looked down at me with his usual nonchalance dripping from his voice. What's your major choice? In my past life, those very words made me change my mind, but now, I met his gaze squarely. Humanities, humanities. Lin Yu's brows knitted as if hearing a joke. Don't be ridiculous. You're obviously choosing STEM. Why? I countered calmly. Because, he faltered momentarily before waving impatiently, STEM has better prospects. Besides, we're all choosing STEM. Why would you go to humanities alone? Ming Yuan's right. A sickly sweet female voice cut in. Su Jia had somehow appeared beside Lin Yu, clinging to his arm. Science students are so impressive. Isn't liberal arts just about memorizing books? Maybe someone's failing at science and wants to slack off in the arts track. Snickers rippled through the classroom. In my past life, this exact mockery had shattered my self-esteem, but now, Su Jia, I rose slowly, my voice crisp and unwavering. Did you know Peking University's liberal arts cutoff was 30 points higher than science's last year? That last year's provincial top arts student got competing offers from 5 elite universities. The room fell dead silent, every eye locked onto me in shock. Since when did Su Xingqing Lin Yu's usual yes man, dare public defiance. Sujia's face darkened. What? What are you implying? What I mean is, don't judge my choices with your ignorance. Lin Yu grabbed my wrist abruptly. Su Xingqing, have you lost your mind? I shook off his grip. Lin Yu, 10 years, from elementary school through high school, I've always followed your lead, never daring to step out of line, but have you ever once truly considered how I feel? His face froze. I continued, in 7th grade I wanted to join the essay contest, but you called it a waste of time. In 9th grade I wanted to take humanities prep courses, but you insisted STEM had better prospects. I've been your shadow, always orbiting around you, but now, I'm going to be my own person. Besides, I shot him a glance. No matter how many career paths STEM offers, you can only walk one road. What I fear most is someone blocking every single path for me. Submitting that form, I knew another storm was coming. The hysterics, the tantrums, the life decisions made for my own good without my consent. I'd grown numb to it all. I tightened my backpack straps and ambled toward the school gates. I saw Mom standing rigidly at the school gate, clad in that familiar black suit, her entire demeanor as gloomy as the sky before a storm. Mom, I called out. Did you submit your track selection form? She asked flatly. Yes. I took half a step back. I chose humanities. Her face froze mid-expression. What did you say? I looked up at her. I said I chose liberal arts. Liberal arts. Her voice shot up an octave. What kind of future is that? Are you trying to kill me? Look at Aunt Wang's daughter. Computer science major, making 20 grand a month right after graduation. But this is my life. I met her gaze. Don't I get to make my own decisions? She stared at my stubborn face momentarily stunned, then tossed out a suit yourself before walking ahead, back home. My mom ransacked my backpack and pulled out 100 Years of Solitude hidden in the lining, saying coldly, Su Xingqing, no more phone privileges from now on. These distracting books are confiscated too. Didn't you choose humanities? We'll settle this if you fail to get into a decent college. Later, my mom started keeping close tabs on me, searching my backpack daily and even timing how long I used my phone for homework help. I was completely drained, both physically and mentally. The turning point came during a monthly exam. It was the 3rd monthly test since we'd chosen our academic tracks. Our school has this relentless cycle of weekly and monthly exams, at least 5 tests every month. After dropping physics in the track selection, I consistently ranked first in class and top 3 grade-wide, though math kept pulling me down. Whenever I got stuck on math problems, I'd instinctively start writing something else. I keep a dedicated notebook for random inspirations, casual musings, and even a few experimental short stories. After monthly exams, there's always a pile of assignments to hand in. Things inevitably get chaotic. As usual, our Chinese teacher asked us to submit our excerpt notebooks. I left mine on the desk and went to collect history assignments. When I returned, my excerpt notebook was still sitting on the desk. Thinking the class rep had missed it, I personally delivered the assignment to the teacher's office during evening self-study. My head was spinning from solving math problems. Just as I wanted to jot something down to relax, I realized my notebook was missing. After searching everywhere to no avail, I asked my deskmate, yeah, do you have my black notebook? Black notebook. She tilted her head thoughtfully. Didn't we hand those in this morning? My heart sank at her words. You submitted mine, right? I squeezed my eyes shut tightly, thinking I'm done for. The moment class ended, I bolted straight to the Chinese teacher's office, silently praying she hadn't seen my notebook yet. When I reached the office, there she was, seated at her desk, completely absorbed in reading a black notebook. Game over. The sky is falling. The Chinese teacher spotted me and beckoned. Su Xingqing, come here. Clutching my clothes nervously, I stood before the teacher like a condemned prisoner. Teacher, this. She waved the notebook in her hand. Did you write it? I nodded. Yeah. Just scribbling something. She patted my shoulder. Not bad at all. Especially this piece, cicada molting. Really profound concept. Not knowing how to respond, I just gave an awkward chuckle. Ever thought about submitting your work? She asked. Realizing what she meant, I was flattered. Submit my work. Really, your short stories are quite good. And the essays aren't bad either. Why not give it a try? She encouraged me. You've got nothing to lose. Spurred by my teacher's encouragement, I submitted both stories to the school magazine. Just when I thought they'd disappeared into oblivion, I received a response a month later. Dear author, congratulations on your acceptance. Please keep your contact information active as we'll be processing your payment and sending complimentary copies. The moment I received the acceptance text, I immediately told my Chinese literature teacher. She was genuinely happy for me, encouraging me to keep writing as long as it didn't affect my studies. And promised to keep it our little secret, but if your grades slip in the next monthly exam, I'll have to inform your homeroom teacher, she said with a playful smile. Spending time with my Chinese teacher made me realize when you genuinely strive to improve, the whole world cheers you on, everyone except Lin Yu. During Chinese class, the teacher entered carrying a stack of composition books. We have several exceptional essays this time, particularly Su Xingqing's Beyond Labels. My heart skipped a beat. In my past life, my essays had never received public praise. This essay demonstrates profound insights and fluid writing, but what's truly remarkable is its genuine emotional depth, said Mr. Li, adjusting his glasses. With Su Xingqing's permission, I'd like to read you a passage. As my words echoed through the classroom in Mr. Li's voice, a peculiar sensation washed over me. In my past life, workplace clients routinely butchered my drafts beyond recognition, yet here, my original writing was being solemnly recited and appreciated. Only when we stop measuring ourselves by others' yardsticks can we discern the true contours of our hearts, Mr. Li concluded, met with thunderous classroom applause. My new deskmate Lin Yu jabbed my arm excitedly. Xingqing, this is incredible. How'd you get so good? Just read and write more, I replied modestly, though warmth blossomed in my chest. So this is how professional recognition feels, surprisingly wonderful. After class, a group of usually quiet classmates gathered around, bombarding me with writing advice questions. As I patiently answered each one, I suddenly spotted a familiar figure by the back door, Lin Yu standing there with a stormy expression. When the crowd dispersed, he approached. Quite the popularity you've got now. Did you need something? I closed my notebook. You haven't come to see me at all these 2 weeks. He lowered his voice. Just to fit in with these nerds. I took a deep breath. I've been busy preparing for the speech competition, and also, nothing but excuses. Lin Yu cut me off. You've changed, Xingqing. Are you really throwing away over a decade of friendship for some petty vanity? Staring at this furious boy before me, I suddenly felt he'd become a complete stranger. The me from my past life would have been terrified by his words, but now they just seemed absurd. Lin Yu, I said calmly, true friendship shouldn't become chains that bind each other. His face twisted as if slapped. Fine, just fine, don't come begging me later. He turned and stormed out. Slamming the door with a thunderous crash, I sighed and went back to grading the freshly distributed Chinese exam papers. That's when I realized, when you stop caring about someone, their joys and sorrows can no longer sway your path forward. The unexpected reward of this submission was, Mom gradually came to accept my decision to study humanities. For the first time ever, she served me a portion of food at dinner. Study hard. You've got real talent for liberal arts, she said stiffly. I support your decision. You're right. It's your life to live. A huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Class, the midterm exams are scheduled for the 10th of next month, said Mr. Li, our homeroom teacher, adjusting his glasses during Monday's class meeting. This time we'll have combined rankings for arts and science streams. Please take it seriously. The classroom instantly erupted in collective groans. Lin Xiaoyu whispered in my ear. Here comes another beating from the science stream kids. Any one of their STEM subjects could outscore us by dozens of points. Staring at my desk, I remembered how science stream students would always mock humanities class rankings after major exams, and I'd been one of those scoffing voices. Now that the tables have turned, I finally see how unjust this system really is. Quiet, Mr. Li rapped his podium. I know you're under pressure, but humanities have their strengths. His gaze swept the classroom before landing on me. Take Su Xingqing's English results last month, third highest in our grade. The whole class swiveled to stare. My ears burned as I pretended to organize notes. I propose we form a study group, Mr. Li continued, where everyone can learn from each other's strengths. After the bell rang, several classmates gathered around. Xingqing, how do you study English? Could you share your methods? The questions came one after another. Well, I hesitated. I think reading original texts helps the most, but we can't even memorize textbook vocabulary. How are we supposed to read original works? A boy wailed. I bit my lip, suddenly recalling the book club from my past life. What if we form a reading group? Start with something simple. Read a chapter together each week and discuss new words and sentences. Brilliant idea. Lin Xiaoyu chimed in immediately. How about starting with The Little Prince? It's short, and the vocabulary isn't too difficult. And so, Class 3's first English book club was hastily formed. Only 5 people signed up initially, so we scheduled weekly 1-hour sessions after school every Wednesday. The first session was an absolute disaster. We had to look up over 20 words just to get through 3 pages. Progress crawled at a snail's pace. As we wrapped up, one girl said dejectedly, "I don't think I'll ever finish this book in my lifetime." On my way home, I racked my brains trying to figure out how to improve. How did the book club organizers at my previous company do it again? That's it, division of labor and teamwork. Before the second meeting, I came fully prepared, pre-divided reading sections, assigned preparation tasks, and compiled author background materials. The efficiency improved noticeably, and participants even started discussing the story's underlying themes. "Did you notice?" a usually quiet girl suddenly remarked. The rose might symbolize vanity and love. The discussion grew increasingly lively, stretching our originally planned 1-hour session to 2. When it ended, everyone was left wanting more, so we agreed to cover extra chapters next time. By the third meeting, several new faces had joined us in the classroom. Turns out other classmates heard our book club was really fun and wanted to give it a try. Mr. Lee happened to pass by and asked with a smile if he could sit in. A month later, our book club grew to 15 members, forcing us to relocate to an unused lab. We've finished reading The Little Prince and have now moved on to Flipped. To my delight, the class's English average score jumped by 6 points, earning special praise from Mr. Lee during the homeroom meeting for this student-led learning initiative. On Wednesday afternoon, I was busy preparing materials for the book club when Lin Xiaoyu burst into the classroom. "Xingqing. Guess what I just overheard outside the boys' restroom?" "The boys' restroom? What were you doing there?" I asked without looking up. "That's not the point." Lin Xiaoyu lowered her voice. "Lin Yu and his lackeys were badmouthing you," he said. She suddenly hesitated. "Too." I put down my pen. "Said what?" he said. "Su Xingqing is all high and mighty now, but wait till the midterm math exam ramps up. She'll show her true colors and come crawling back begging for my tutoring." Lin Xiaoyu imitated Lin Yu's condescending tone. "Makes my blood boil." I froze momentarily before letting out a soft chuckle. The me from my past life would have been heartbroken hearing this, but now it just strikes me as laughable. Lin Yu still believes switching to liberal arts was some impulsive tantrum, a doomed act of defiance. "Ignore him." I patted Lin Xiaoyu's shoulder. "Focusing on preparing today's discussion questions is what really matters." Deep down, Lin Yu's words still stung. The combined arts-science ranking for midterms was truly challenging, especially in math where science students naturally had an edge. I secretly vowed to ace the exams and show everyone what humanities students were capable of. For the next 2 weeks, I plunged into an intense study marathon, up at 5 a.m. every day, starting with an hour of political history memorization, English listening practice during breaks, math drills at lunch, and organizing humanities notes until midnight. Using memories from my past life, I focused intensely on potential math exam problems. The night before midterms, I tossed and turned sleeplessly. My mind kept replaying scenarios of Lin Yu mocking me if I failed. At 2 a.m., I dragged myself out of bed and wrote in my journal, not to prove anything, just to live up to myself. The exams lasted 3 days. During the toughest math paper, I blanked on several major problems. My palms were drenched when it ended, but Chinese and English went smoothly. Especially the essay where I seamlessly incorporated prepared material. When the final exam bell rang, I let out a long sigh of relief. Whatever the outcome, at least I'd given it my all. During that week waiting for results, our book club met as usual. We started reading 1984, and the discussions grew more animated than ever. Mr. Lee would occasionally join in, sharing his insights. After one session, he pulled me aside. "Su Xingqing, you've sparked such a positive learning atmosphere in our class. That's truly special." "I just organized things a bit," I said sheepishly. "No, it was more than that." Mr. Lee looked at me earnestly. "You showed everyone what's possible in learning. That's precious." On Friday morning, the grade list was finally posted. Lin Xiaoyu and I squeezed through the crowd, scanning the names from bottom to top. It's a humanities student thing. We rarely make it to the top ranks. "Oh my god, Xingqing." Lin Xiaoyu suddenly shrieked. "You're here." She was pointing at the top 30 section where my name stood out clearly. 20th place, Su Xingqing, Class 3 Humanities. What shocked me even more was my English subject ranking, 4th in the entire grade. "This can't be," I murmured to myself. My best ranking in previous lives barely cracked the top 80 in my grade. "Look," Lin Xiaoyu pointed excitedly at another honor roll. 3 from our class made the English top 10. Everyone in the book club improved. I scrutinized my scores: Chinese 139, Math 110, English 145, Liberal Arts 264. While math remained my weak spot, I'd outperformed expectations in nearly every other subject. On our way back to the classroom, we ran into the science track students. Lin Yu was walking ahead of everyone and visibly froze when he spotted me. The guy next to him nudged him. "Isn't that your little sidekick? Heard he ranked second in the grade this time." Lin Yu's expression darkened instantly. Liberal arts questions are just easier. I intended to walk past them without acknowledgement, but as we brushed shoulders, I heard Lin Yu mutter, "Don't get cocky, next time you won't be so lucky." That line actually made me chuckle. "Yeah, I'll do better next time." Lin Yu clearly didn't expect me to respond and was momentarily speechless. His friends started jeering, which made him flush with anger. "Just you wait." During the class meeting after midterms, Teacher Lee beamed with pride. "Our class average ranked 4th in the grade this time, 3 places up from last time. Special recognition goes to Su Xingqing, who placed 20th overall and came in 4th for English." The whole class erupted in applause, and I was so embarrassed I wished I could crawl under the desk, but a tiny voice inside me whispered, "See, you've got this." After school, I overheard Ms. Lee and Mr. Liu, the science class homeroom teacher, talking outside the faculty office. Who knew Su Xingqing would excel so much in liberal arts? Mr. Liu said with surprise. "Her science grades were just average freshman year. Good thing she chose humanities. Some students are like particular flowers," replied Teacher Lee. "They need the right soil to bloom." I walked away quietly, feeling warmth in my heart. Yes, I've finally found my own fertile ground. While organizing my school bag that evening, a note slipped out from the English textbook. Above was Mr. Zhang's neat handwriting. "Registrations for the municipal English debate competition are open. I've recommended you. Come see me Monday if you're interested." I carefully tucked the note into my diary and wrote beneath today's date, "Hard work really does pay off. Not to make anyone regret anything, but to see a better version of myself." When the final bell rang signaling the end of exams, I exhaled deeply, set down my pen, and flexed my stiff fingers. Outside the window, the July sun blazed harshly, while the classroom hung thick with the tense, sweat-laden air. "How'd the exam go?" Lin Xiaoyu leaned in and whispered. "Not bad, just unsure about that last big history question." I rubbed my temples. I prepped way harder for this final than midterms, especially math, crammed 5 years worth of past papers. "You're not bad probably means top 5. Lin Xiaoyu pouted. "I'm just praying not to fall below top 100. Or my mom'll sign me up for summer cram school." While packing my bag, I noticed Lin Yu standing at the classroom door, watching me with an unreadable expression. We hadn't spoken for 2 weeks since our confrontation at the library. He looked noticeably haggard, with dark circles under his eyes. "Heard you didn't make the provincial physics competition team." I paused as I walked past him. Lin Yu's lips twitched. "Just choked under pressure." He stared at my backpack. "So, how'd the test go?" "You'll know when the results come out," I replied with an evasive smile. In my past life, I'd have eagerly reported every subject's details, even apologizing for minor mistakes, terrified of disappointing him. "Xingqing," Lin Yu suddenly called out to me as I turned away. "Are you coming to the class reunion this summer?" "Depends, got a packed schedule." I waved without looking back, stepping out of school gates. A wave of scorching heat hit me, squinting at the blinding sun. I mapped out my summer routine: 2 hours of English listening speaking drills each morning, 3 hours of focused study in the afternoon, followed by reading and writing sessions at night. What did my past self do during summer breaks? Tagging along with Lin Yu to internet cafes, copying his homework assignments, or mindlessly watching him play basketball from the sidelines. Those meaningless moments now feel heartbreakingly precious in hindsight. The report cards came out 1 week into vacation. I was helping Mom chop fruits in the kitchen when Dad suddenly shouted from the living room, "Xingqing, come here quick." Wiping my hands, I rushed over to see Dad holding his phone displaying the teacher's grade report. His face wore an expression I'd never seen before. Astonishment, pride, and a hint of disbelief. "Ranked 18th in your grade," he pointed at his phone, "2nd place in English, and your Chinese essay was chosen as a model paper." Mom pulled me into a tight hug, her body trembling slightly against mine. In my past life, my parents never got to see a single decent report card before they passed. Now, I could finally give them this long overdue joy. Teacher Lee left comments too. Dad said, putting on his glasses, "Su Xingqing demonstrates exceptional talent in humanities and remarkable diligence, showing potential for top-tier universities." Recommend maintaining summer study momentum with focused improvement in mathematics. That evening, our family had a lavish dinner together for the first time in ages. Dad even uncorked a bottle of red wine he'd been saving for years, pouring me half a glass too. My daughter will surely outshine me someday, he said with tipsy pride, his eyes twinkling. After dinner, I returned to my room and opened my new planner. Under summer goals, I solemnly wrote, strengthen strengths, address weaknesses, prepare for senior year sprint. Then I meticulously outlined daily study schedules and reading lists. My phone suddenly buzzed with a message from Lin Xiaoyu, help, failed math. Mom enrolled me in boot camp tutoring, whole summer ruined, followed by a string of crying emojis. I was about to reply when another message popped up, by the way. Lin Yu's been asking everyone about your grades. When he heard you made top 20, his face turned green lol. I put down my phone without responding to the part about Lin Yu. 3. There was a time when his every move could sway my emotions, but now I can't even spare him a shred of curiosity. Summer break flew by faster than expected. I maintained a strict routine, up at 6 a.m. for jogging, followed by vocabulary drills and BBC News, focused on math and liberal arts in the mornings. Spent afternoons reading literary works and English originals, wrote reading notes or essays in the evenings. I also visited the library twice weekly. The AC was great, and the study vibe even better. At the end of July, I received a reply letter from Youth Literature. My essay, Cicadas in Summer, submitted 2 months prior, was accepted for publication in the September issue. The letter included a 200 yuan payment slip and an editor's handwritten note, exquisite prose with genuine emotion. Looking forward to more submissions, I read the letter 3 times before carefully tucking it into my diary. This marked my first official off-campus publication, thrilling me far more than any exam ranking. It proved my writing held value beyond mere self-amusement. In mid-August, our classmates organized a reunion. I wasn't planning to go, but Lin Xiaoyu kept pestering me. Please, it'd be so awkward going alone. Besides, you haven't seen everyone in ages, don't you want to show off your stellar grades? I finally agreed to accompany her, but laid down 3 ground rules: no more than 2 hours, no KTV, and no alcohol. The gathering was at a buffet restaurant. We arrived slightly late to find over 20 people crammed in the private room, making a racket like a marketplace. Lin Yu held court at the center, loudly dissecting this scandal. Behind his physics competition, my experiment scores were clearly higher. But the judges favored students from the provincial lab school. His voice trailed off abruptly when he saw me enter. Xingqing, a group of girls swarmed around me. We heard you've been acing all your classes since switching to the humanities track. I nodded with a smile and found a corner seat. Soon, questions came pouring in. Is the humanities track super easy? Just endless memorization every day? How did you learn English? Heard you ranked second in the grade. What's it like having your essay chosen as a model piece? I answered each question modestly, but could feel Lin Yu's gaze burning into me like laser beams. Xingqing's amazing now, Lin Xiaoyu suddenly announced loudly. Her article's getting published in Youth Literature. Plus she already had a short story published in our school magazine. The private room fell silent for a few seconds before erupting in gasps of amazement. Several girls immediately asked to see the published work, while the boys shot surprised glances. In this ordinary high school, students getting published in legitimate magazines were rarer than hen's teeth, probably just paid for the space. Lin Yu's voice cut in abruptly. There's no shortage of those shady magazines nowadays. As Lin Xiaoyu was about to retort, I gently pressed her hand. Youth Literature is sponsored by the Provincial Writers Association with over 30 years of publication history, I said calmly, meeting Lin Yu's gaze. Feel free to check the latest September issue at the library if you're interested. Lin Yu's face darkened. He suddenly stood up. Who cares about some lousy magazine? Science students rely on real skills. Getting admitted through competitions is what truly matters. The gathering ended on a sour note. On the bus ride home, Lin Xiaoyu was still fuming. Lin Yu's just jealous of you, I heard after failing the physics competition. He didn't even qualify for Tsinghua's independent enrollment program. Gazing at the cityscape flashing by outside the window, I felt an unusual calm within. In my past life, Lin Yu's disapproval would make me doubt myself and even abandon writing, but now, my worth no longer requires his validation. During the final week of summer break, I received an email from Teacher Lee informing me that the school had selected me as student representative to deliver a 5-minute speech titled Youth and Dreams at the senior year opening ceremony. I spent 3 days polishing the speech, revising it repeatedly and even recording myself to check the delivery. My mother became my first audience, her eyes turned red as she listened, whispering, "My daughter has truly grown up." On ceremony day, dressed in a simple white blouse and navy pleated skirt, I stood backstage awaiting my turn. The auditorium buzzed with the murmurs of students and faculty like ocean waves. Taking deep breaths, I recalled my past life sycophantic revisions for superiors, feeling a sudden sting in my nose. Next, let's welcome Su Xingqing from Class 3 of the Arts Division, Grade 12, to deliver the student representative speech. I stepped onto the podium and adjusted the microphone height. Sunlight streamed through the auditorium's high windows, illuminating the stage like a carefully positioned spotlight. Respected teachers, dear fellow students, good morning. My voice echoed clearly through the hall. Today I'd like to discuss not how to get into a good university, but why we should strive for one. The speech went smoothly. I spoke about my original passion for choosing humanities, about failures and perseverance, about finding one's own path in life. The auditorium was unusually quiet, with even the rowdiest freshmen listening intently. Midway through my speech, I noticed Teacher Lee nodding slightly from the judges' panel. The most beautiful part of youth isn't the moment dreams come true, but the version of yourself that gives everything chasing them. Thank you. Thunderous applause lasted nearly a full minute. My back was drenched with sweat when I stepped off stage, but my heart felt lighter than ever. This time, I'd conquered my former timid self. On my way back, I spotted Lin Yu in the science class section watching me with an unreadable expression. The moment our eyes met, he quickly looked away and pretended to chat with someone nearby. After the ceremony, the principal came over specifically to shake my hand. Brilliant speech, Sue. Hope to hear your acceptance letter from Peking University next year. I'll do my best, Principal, I replied confidently. On my way back to the classroom, juniors kept coming up to congratulate me, with a few even shyly asking for autographs. Lin Xiaoyu dramatically threw an arm around my shoulders. Sign this for me, superstar. I'll auction it off when you're famous. During the first homeroom session of senior year, Mr. Lee announced the citywide exam rankings from last semester's finals. When he revealed Su Xingqing, our school's top liberal arts scorer, ranked 47th citywide, the whole class erupted in cheers. That ranking practically guaranteed admission to top-tier universities if maintained. However, Mr. Lee shifted tone. Senior year is the real battleground. Many past students started strong but lost steam later. Stay humble, stay focused, and see this through to the end. After school, I ran into Lin Yu and his mother at the gate. Mrs. Chen eagerly grabbed my arm. Xingqing, I heard you're acing your studies. Come tutor Lin Yu in Chinese and English sometime. Those are his weak subjects. Lin Yu stood aside, his face ashen with anger. In my past life, I'd pull every string to get Lin Yu to tutor me. Now the tables have turned. The old me would have been overjoyed by this invitation, but today, it just feels absurd. Sorry auntie, senior year leaves no breathing room. I declined politely. Lin Yu could join the school's honors program. Mr. Lee is an exceptional teacher. On the walk home, the autumn breeze carried waves of osmanthus fragrance. Running my fingers over the new textbooks in my bag, I felt anticipation rather than dread. The daunting mountain of senior year now seemed like nothing more than a molehill on my journey of growth. In my diary beneath the first day of school's date, I wrote, when you know where you're headed, the whole world makes way, and my path has only just begun. The results of our first senior year mock exam lay on the desk. I stared at the number for a full minute. 32nd in my grade. A 14th-place drop from last semester's finals. The questions were particularly challenging this time. Most students scored 20 points lower than usual. Mr. Lee analyzed from the podium. Don't fixate on the scores. What matters is identifying knowledge gaps. Even so, my fingers unconsciously dug into my palms. Math and geography were particularly disastrous. Careless mistakes cost me 2 major math problems, while I completely missed the logic behind geography's new question types. Xingqing, Mr. Lee called out as the bell rang. Stop by my office when you have a moment. The office AC hummed loudly as Mr. Lee handed me a cup of warm water. You've seemed off lately. I pursed my lips, carefully choosing my words. Maybe, just a bit tired. Perfectly normal. Teacher Lee pulled out a file from the drawer. This is your answer analysis from last month's exam. I can see you put tremendous effort into math. The improvement is remarkable. But you've slacked off on comprehensive humanities, especially geographical regional analysis. I took the file, noticing Teacher Lee's detailed suggestions marked in red ink. My past professional experience made me instantly recognize the core issue. I fell into the trap of fixing weaknesses while neglecting strengths, obsessing over my math shortcomings while overlooking my strong suits in humanities. Senior year is like a marathon, mister. Lee's voice was gentle yet firm. Don't sprint from the start, pace yourself. Your strengths lie in Chinese and English, maintain those while gradually improving math. That's the optimal strategy. Stepping out of the office, I took a deep breath. The September sun still burned fiercely, making the synthetic track emit its distinctive rubbery scent. Maybe I should cut myself some slack. Back when work stress got overwhelming, I developed a habit of night running. Those moments jogging along the riverside often helped clear my mind. Why not start now? After dinner that day, I announced my new routine, 30-minute runs at 6 a.m. daily, no more late nights after study sessions, ensuring 7 hours of sleep. Are you sure? Mom asked worriedly. Senior year schedules are already packed. Sharpening the axe won't delay chopping wood. Dad unexpectedly supported me. It's good Ching-Ching can think independently. At dawn the next morning, I'd already been jogging around the neighborhood for 20 minutes when the first rays of sunlight broke through the clouds. Sweat trickled down my forehead, my heart raced, yet my mind felt unusually clear. Post-run showers followed by study sessions noticeably boosted my productivity. My revised study schedule achieved better balance, 2 fixed daily hours for math without encroaching on other subjects. Targeted geography drills focusing on weak areas with customized regional analysis templates, while maintaining consistent Chinese-English immersion without forced cramming. During lunch break a week later, while organizing geography notes, Lin Xiaoyu sidled up with conspiratorial excitement. Guess what I just overheard in the teacher's office? I kept annotating key points without looking up. Lin Yu's mom came to see Teacher Lu, saying he's been moody lately with fluctuating grades. Lin Xiaoyu whispered, guess what? She actually blamed you. My pen froze mid-stroke. What's that got to do with me? She said Lin Yu grew up accustomed to his sidekick worshipping him, and now that you've suddenly outperformed him, he can't handle it. Lin Xiaoyu rolled her eyes. The worst part, she claimed girls in humanities tend to lack staying power. I bit my lower lip. Lin Yu's mother's rhetoric was all too familiar to me. In my past life, she'd always believed girls should study easy majors to prepare for domestic roles. What did Teacher Lu say? I couldn't help asking. Ms. Lu said. Lin Xiaoyu suddenly straightened up, mimicking the teacher's stern tone. Su Xingqing has been excelling in liberal arts. There's absolutely no issue of losing momentum. On the contrary, she's now a top contender for Peking University. I burst out laughing, picturing Ms. Lu's perpetually stern face. Never expected our no-nonsense STEM homeroom teacher to stick up for me. Wait, it gets better. Lin Xiaoyu continued excitedly. Lin Yu's mom happened to run into your mother picking up your brother and told her, girls shouldn't push themselves too hard. Your mom shot back, my daughter's going to be a writer. How else is she supposed to make it? My heart swelled with warmth. In my past life, mother had never publicly defended me like this. Her usual advice was just to play it safe. During afternoon P.E. class, I stayed in the classroom reading alone after getting excused due to my period. The door suddenly swung open, and Lin Yu walked in with a dark expression, visibly startled to see me. You skipped P.E. He lingered at the doorway, hesitating whether to enter. Got excused. I closed my book. Need something? Lin Yu glanced around, confirming we were alone before slowly taking the seat in front of me. Did my mom give yours trouble yesterday? I raised an eyebrow, surprised he'd bring it up himself. Not exactly trouble, just a difference in perspective. She can be a bit old-fashioned sometimes. Lin Yu showed rare embarrassment. I've already told her my business has nothing to do with you. Sunlight slanted through the window across his face, revealing darker circles under his eyes than during summer break. His whole body radiated tension. You holding up okay? I asked out of habit. What's the big deal? Lin Yu immediately reverted to that defensive tone. It's just one failed mock exam. Unlike you, don't get cocky just because you've cracked the top 30 a few times. The Real test comes with the college entrance exams. I shook my head and stopped engaging. In my past life, his attitude would have wounded me. Now it just feels pathetic. Even his concern comes disguised as hostility. Lin Yu stood up to leave, then suddenly turned back. That article you published, can I take a look? The request caught me so off guard that I froze for seconds before pulling out that issue of youth literature from my bag. This one, When Cicadas Sing in Summer. He took the magazine, quickly flipped to my dog-eared page, skimmed a few lines with mixed emotions. Never thought you could actually write. There are plenty of things you'd never expect. I calmly retrieved the magazine. The classroom fell silent again after Linyu left. Gazing at classmates running across the playground outside the window, my thoughts drifted away. There was a time when a single word of approval from Linyu could brighten my entire day. Now his opinions carry no more weight than a feather. In early October, I received an unexpected email. An editor from City Youth Daily reached out, having seen my piece in youth literature, inviting me to contribute to their new Youth Chronicles column. The feeling of having my first article published in a proper newspaper was truly surreal. My piece Autumn Notes appeared in the lower right corner of the arts section, modest in length but accompanied by exquisite illustrations. The real surprise came a week later when I received a handwritten letter from a retired Chinese literature teacher, her elegant script filling the page with praise and thoughtful suggestions. I carefully tucked the letter into my journal alongside the 600 yuan royalty check, my first earnings from writing across 2 lifetimes. As my published works accumulated, my literature teacher suggested compiling a portfolio for future university applications, so every weekend, I added a new task, selecting and polishing 2 years' worth of essays to assemble into a collection. Have you decided on a title yet? My Chinese teacher flipped through my draft, a dialogue between 17 and 30. I said, it's about various reflections on growing up. The teacher nodded thoughtfully. Profound, but independent enrollment material should highlight academic potential. I'd suggest adding 2 literary critiques. In November's 3rd mock exam, my ranking climbed back to around top 10 in my grade. I finally broke through the 120-point barrier in math, and geography returned to excellence. What delighted me most was Chinese. My essay scored 58 points with the comment, profound insights and polished writing. You're in great form right now, Teacher Zhang said approvingly while reviewing the test papers. Keep this momentum going, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. Pressure still exists, but unlike the blind anxiety of my past life, it now feels more like a driving force. During my morning runs, I mentally outline the day's study plan. Those 15-minute post-study walks are when I brainstorm new writing ideas. One December morning, I ran into Linyu and his mother at the school gate. Mrs. Lin looked slightly awkward when she saw me, but nodded nonetheless. Xingqing, I heard you're quite the writer. 4, not bad, I've had a few pieces published, I replied politely. Linyu only scored 105 on his Chinese exam this time. Mrs. Chen nudged her son. Do you have any study tips you could share? Linyu stood nearby, his face visibly distressed. Suddenly this scene struck me as bitterly ironic. The roles were reversed, yet our mindsets couldn't be more different. Just read and write more. I glanced at my watch. Sorry, I've got to turn in my assignment. After walking some distance, I heard Mrs. Chen's scolding voice. Look at how they, before the wind carried away the rest. During the cold snap that week, I came down with a bad flu and had to take 3 days off, lying in bed with fever. I got a text from an unknown number. Heard you're sick, take care during senior year. Linyu. I stared at the message for a long time before simply replying thanks. Some relationships are like autumn leaves. Once withered, there's no point clinging to them. On my first day back at school after recovering, Teacher Lee handed me an envelope. The city's education bureau is holding a youth aspirations essay contest. I think you should enter. First prize comes with Yen 5,000 and extra credit. On the bus ride home, I began drafting my entry. The city lights flickered to life outside the window as my reflection hovered in the glass. I suddenly felt dazed. What was my past self doing at this exact moment? Probably drowning in self-doubt, unable to pull myself out. 1 week before the college entrance exams, our school gave us study leave. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, I was surrounded by 2 years' worth of study materials, 12 notebooks crammed with notes, 6 volumes of mistake corrections, 3 mind-mapping books for humanities, and a stack of dog-eared practice tests. At the very top lies that navy blue rebirth plan notebook, now nearly filled to the brim. Flipping to the first page, I saw slightly childish handwriting listing advantages. 1. Remembering the college entrance exam essay topic. A smile crept across my lips unbidden. Back then, I foolishly believed foresight was rebirth's greatest gift. Little did I know, real transformation came from these 2 years of grinding dedication. My phone vibrated with a message from Lin Xiaoyu. Help. I haven't finished memorizing the political essay topics. Any predictions for this year's exam? I replied with a chuckle. Focus on cultural innovation and ecological civilization. It was an educated guess based on past memories and current political trends. though I hesitated to sound too certain. What if the butterfly effect altered things? Setting my phone aside, I resumed organizing writing materials. Over the past 2 years, I'd systematically categorized dozens of published articles and drafts, social observations, personal growth, cultural reflections. Each category had polished paragraphs ready for flexible adaptation. Mom knocked and entered with a plate of sliced fruit. Don't overwork yourself, remember to rest your eyes. Yeah, I'll finish up soon. I took the fruit and pointed at the materials on the floor. Look, Mom, these are all the notes I've written over the past 2 years. Mom knelt down, gently touching the notebooks as her eyes suddenly welled up. My daughter, you've really grown up. In my past life at this time, I was still agonizing over the final science exam problems, walking around with a long face every day, completely hopeless. Mom, no matter how I did on the test, I gave it my all. I held her hand. You'll do great. Mom wiped the corner of her eye. Oh, here's a letter that came today. The envelope bore the youth literature logo. When I opened it, I found a contract offer. They wanted me to write a monthly column for them on the eve of the college entrance exams. I went to bed at 10 sharp, contrary to expectations. I fell asleep almost the moment my head hit the pillow. I woke to gentle rain outside my window. After some light stretches, I ate Mom's perfect score breakfast, a fried dough stick with 2 eggs, then double-checked my exam admission ticket and stationery. Nervous, Dad broke his usual silence during our ride to the exam site. A little, but mostly excited, I watched the rain streak across the car window. It's like the curtains finally rising on a performance I've rehearsed forever. First subject, Chinese language. The moment the exam paper landed on my desk, I flipped straight to the essay prompt on preserving tradition while embracing innovation, though it wasn't the topic I remembered from my past life. This theme happened to be what I frequently explored in my column, with confidence. I penned the title Honoring Traditional Values While Pioneering Contemporary Breakthroughs. The rain had stopped when I left the exam hall. Sunlight filtered through the clouds, casting dappled shadows on the ground. Lin Xiaoyu waited at the meeting point, looking crestfallen. I completely missed the essay's point. I wrote about technological innovation. Don't dwell on it. Let's focus on the next subject. I patted her shoulder reassuringly. Math was my weak spot, but I played it safe, securing every point from questions I knew, and attempting partial solutions for the last 2 major problems. My performance remained steady in liberal arts and English, especially the composition where I incorporated several polished advanced sentence structures that surely caught the examiner's eye. When the final exam bell rang, the classroom erupted. Some cheered while others wept. Calmly packing my stationery, I walked out. The school gate swarmed with anxious parents, and Mom rushed to envelop me in a tight hug the moment she spotted me. Standard performance, I replied tersely, avoiding elaboration. The college entrance exam marks a beginning, not an end. The wait for exam results turned out more relaxed than expected. I started organizing my room, packing up unused study guides to donate to younger students. By chance, I stumbled upon my freshman year diary. Those entries agonizing over Lin Yu's every word now feel like relics from another lifetime. At dawn on June 25th, the score inquiry system went live. With my whole family gathered around the computer, my hands actually trembled as I entered my exam ID and clicked search. The page refreshed. Asterisks marked every subject's score. I'm a top-scoring student whose results got withheld. Peking University is in the bag. Dad slammed the table excitedly, waking up my little brother. Mom burst into tears behind her hands. I stared at the screen, speechless. This score far exceeded my past life's results, even topping my wildest expectations. When returning to school next day for college applications, I became the center of attention. Beaming with pride, Mr. Lee introduced me to every teacher. This is Su Xingqing from our class, the only humanities student with shielded scores. Ms. Zhang hugged me tightly, exclaiming, I knew you had it in you. Even the usually stern Professor Lu nodded approvingly at me, saying, scoring this high in liberal arts is no small feat. Without hesitation, I wrote Chinese literature at Kyoto University as my first choice. When submitting my application, Professor Lee said with pride, you're one of the most accomplished students I've ever taught. On campus, I ran into Lin Yu. He stood alone before the honor roll, staring at the list of top scorers posted there. My name stood out prominently, while his trailed beyond the 50th place. Congrats, he said hoarsely. Seems liberal arts really suit you. How'd you do? I asked. 602. He forced a smile. Provincial university's my only option now. Mom's furious, thinks I've humiliated her. I'm at a loss for words. In my past life at this time, he was basking in glory preparing for Shanghai's prestigious universities, while I could only attend a local second-tier college, Xinqing. Lin Yu hesitated. I want to apologize for what I said before. I was so arrogant back then. Always thinking STEM majors were superior. Water under the bridge, I said calmly, wishing you a wonderful college experience. At graduation, I ascended the stage as the outstanding graduate representative to receive my award. Thunderous applause erupted from the audience. I saw Teacher Li and Teacher Zhang snapping photos frantically, Lin Xiaoyu waving her arms excitedly, and even Lin Yu joining in the applause. The principal remarked in his address, like student Su Xingqing. Recognizing one's talents and passions while devoting oneself wholeheartedly, that's the true essence of success. After the ceremony, classmates began signing each other's uniforms as keepsakes. Lin Yu approached, autographed my sleeve, then handed me a pen. Could you sign mine too? I wrote on the back of his uniform. May you find your own path, Su Xingqing. Mid-July arrived with Peking University's admission letter right on schedule. Inside the gilded envelope, along with the admission letter, was a handwritten note from the Dean of the Literature Faculty. Your portfolio demonstrates extraordinary literary promise. We look forward to seeing you shine at Jing University. I framed both the acceptance letter and my published works, hanging them on my bedroom wall. Beneath them sat my rebirth project notebook, open to the final page where I'd written last night's new plan. University goals: 1. Major in Chinese literature, minor in English, join the literature club and keep writing, strive for an exchange student opportunity, publish a personal anthology. In early August, I attended my high school reunion. This time, all eyes were on me as everyone clamored to ask forth the secret to getting into Kyoto University. Lin Yu didn't show up. Heard he went to Provincial University early for their summer program. At the reunion, guys who'd mocked me for switching to liberal arts sheepishly toasted me. You had vision. Wish I'd chosen humanities too. I just smiled, keeping to myself that the real choice wasn't between majors, but between conformity and authenticity. As we left, our drunken class monitor slurred, when Su Xingqing makes it big, we'll all brag we knew her. The summer night breeze caressed my face as I gazed at the star-studded sky. Memories from my past life flashed before me like a revolving lantern, choices made to please others, opportunities lost to self-doubt, those aimless corporate years. Every regret found redemption in this lifetime. Returning home, I penned the final entry in my diary. My dear Su Xingqing, when you read these words again, I hope you become the best version of yourself. Never forget the courage of your 17-year-old self, nor betray the miraculous rebirth at 27. The road ahead is long, but this time, you won't lose your way. From your past self. Closing the diary, I tucked it into the deepest corner of the drawer. Tomorrow I'll board the northbound train to begin a brand new journey. This time, I'm not following anyone's footsteps. I'm going to find my true self. Outside the window, summer cicadas chirped as if bidding me farewell. While in the distance, the faint chime of Kyoto University's bell whispered, awaiting the arrival of a soul reborn. Story 2. After my rebirth, I proactively placed the divorce agreement in front of Zhou. He didn't even glance at it and tossed the document aside, saying, I won't give you custody of our son. I don't want custody. Zhou looked up. You've come to terms with it. Yes, I have, in my previous life. I couldn't bear to leave my son behind and clung to Zhou for most of our lives, until our son grew up. But on his wedding day, he declared in front of everyone, I hope my mom can make way for my dad and Aunt Lin. Aunt Lin has had it tough staying with my dad all these years. I will never do my homework. You forcing me won't help. 8-year-old Zhou was sprawled on the floor, throwing a tantrum, looking utterly defiant. And such scenes occurred daily. I insisted he finish his homework before playing. I limited his TV time to half an hour. I only allowed him to eat fried chicken burgers once a week. I set many rules for him, hoping to cultivate good habits. But these habits became a joke the day Lin Yaki appeared. He accused me. Aunt Lin never makes me do homework. She just plays with me. Aunt Lin doesn't stop me from eating drumsticks. She says boys need to eat more to grow tall. I don't like you at all. I wish Aunt Lin could be my mom. Even though I was heartbroken to hear these words in my previous life, I chose to forgive him. I thought he was just too young to understand, and that he would appreciate my intentions when he grew up. I still pushed him to study hard, to exercise, and to eat well. As an adult, he graduated from a prestigious university, started his own company, and married a well-matched wife. On his wedding day, the host asked him to thank his parents. In front of all the guests, he said to me. I hope you can make way for my dad and Aunt Lynn, who has been with my dad for so many years. Lynn Yaki cried like a fountain below the stage. It seemed as if the hardships she endured over the years were all worth it at that moment, and I, standing on stage, appeared redundant and foolish. Mom, you forced me to do things I didn't want to do since I was a child. If it weren't for Aunt Lynn's quiet warmth and encouragement behind the scenes, I would have been ruined. You and Dad had no marital affection left. Why keep occupying this position, making everyone unhappy? I don't know how I managed to leave Joey Rand's wedding in such a daze. All I knew was that after I walked out of the hotel, I was hit by a car due to jaywalking and then unexpectedly reborn. Watching my mischievous son at this moment, I nodded. Okay, no homework. Joey Rand, lying on the ground, looked up at me in surprise. Are you serious? Of course, I said calmly. Can I continue watching TV now? Not only can you watch TV, but you can also play on the tablet. Can I eat chips while playing? Joey Rand asked, pushing his luck. Whatever you want. Why are you suddenly so nice to me? Joey Rand asked in surprise. I just smiled and said nothing. An ungrateful wretch doesn't deserve my sincerity. Is it because you're afraid I'll only like Aunt Lynn in the future and not you? Joey Rand said smugly. Whatever you want in the future, I'll support it. I said deliberately, pausing between each word, including your favorite Aunt Lynn. After satisfying all of Joey Rand's unreasonable demands, he became increasingly uncontrollable. The first thing he did after coming home from school was to play on his tablet. He played during meals. He even slept clutching the tablet. If he stayed up too late and couldn't wake up, I wouldn't call him. I let him sleep until he woke up naturally. If he wanted to go to school upon waking, he could. If not, I wouldn't force him. I let him indulge in his favorite snacks. I've had enough of handling everything myself. Even the maid couldn't stand it anymore and kindly advised me, Madam, by spoiling the young master this way, you're actually ruining him. How could that be? I retorted sarcastically. Forcing him to do things he dislikes would truly be the ruin of him. However, such days didn't last long before my son Joey Rand's unusual behavior started causing dissatisfaction at school. His homeroom teacher called me, saying that Joey Rand was being defiant in class, unabashedly telling the teacher, my parents don't bother with me. What right do you have to do so? I'm sorry, I really can't control him. If there's any issue, please contact my husband instead. I gave the teacher my husband's number. After hanging up, I continued with my beauty treatment. When I finished my beauty treatment and returned home, I found Josuyu, who rarely comes home, standing in the living room. His face looked extremely unpleasant, his voice tinged with sarcasm. Shinshi, your tactics are getting more sophisticated, using our son to force me to come back. I did indeed want Josuyu to come back. After all, calling him was useless. I can't remember when Josuyu and I started having such a hostile relationship. We were clearly in love freely, married voluntarily, shared hardships, and started a business together. Once the company stabilized, I stepped back to focus on supporting my husband and raising our child. I devoted too much energy to our son, and by the time I realized something was off with Josuyu, he had already emotionally strayed. His attention was on Lin Yaki, a 20-year-old intern at the company, youthful and delicate. I accidentally saw the messages between Josuyu and her. Josuyu wrote, you remind me of my wife when she was young. She was as lovely and delicate as you, and now? Lin Yaki asked, sending a curious and cute emoticon. Now, she's gotten plump, and sometimes being intimate with her feels a bit sickening. I never expected to be perceived that way by Josuyu. That incident enraged me like never before. Feeling deeply insulted, I insisted on a divorce. Josuyu didn't agree, explaining it was just harmless flirting and told me not to overreact. Both our parents tried to persuade me, mentioning our 2-year-old child, urging me to not hold it against Josuyu this time. Josuyu also swore he would not contact Lin Yaki again and immediately fired her to show his loyalty to me. Moreover, at that time, Josuyu indeed hadn't had a real affair with Lin Yaki. Eventually, I chose to forgive him. I even began to reflect on whether I had indeed focused too much on our child, thereby neglecting Josuyu and myself. As I tried to change, Josuyu physically cheated. As I was at the hospital caring for Joey Rand, who suddenly developed a high fever, I called Josuyu. He responded impatiently, enough, Shinshi, I'm just out for business entertaining. Stop finding reasons to force me back. Alone in the hospital with Joey Rand, I received a photo from Lin Yaki late at night. It was explicit. She said, President Zhou says even if you lost weight, you'd still be ugly. Not delicate and cute like me. that moment made me realize, once a man cheats, he cheats. There's no distinction between emotional and physical. Once again, I demanded a divorce. This time, Josue didn't refuse, but he insisted that Joeyran must stay with him. At that point, for me, Joeyran is everything in my life. I have poured all my love into him. He's only 3 years old, his world revolves around me, and without me by his side, he won't sleep until dawn. I can't bear to leave him. I've thought about fighting for custody in court, but I haven't worked for years and can't compete with Josue. Our marriage has been entangled like this. He never gave up on seeking custody. I've always insisted on having it. As time went by, Joeyran grew up, and I seem to have gotten used to this broken marriage. Sometimes, getting used to something can be truly terrifying. I deeply despised Josue's infidelity, yet I ended up spending most of my life with him. Fortunately, fate gave me a chance to start over. I opened the drawer and calmly handed the divorce papers to Josue. When he saw the papers, he laughed sarcastically. Shinshi, I thought you had come to your senses after all this time without making a fuss. What's this now? Isn't the money I give you each month enough? It's not enough, I replied. How much do you want? Josue asked generously. Half of the company's assets. What are you thinking, Shinshi? Have you lost your mind? Josue was furious. The company was founded together by us and belongs to our marital assets. I've consulted a lawyer, and I am rightfully entitled to half, I asserted. And then, Josue said impatiently, unless we divorce, all this remains marital property. So isn't that what I'm doing now? I gestured towards the divorce papers. Josue scoffed dismissively and tossed the papers aside. I'm not giving you custody of our son. I don't want it. Josue looked up. Have you come to terms with it? I have, impatiently. Josue picked up the divorce papers again and started to read them seriously. I didn't ask for more than what I was entitled to. Furthermore, I willingly gave the custody of Joeyran to Josue. Josue frowned deeply and put down the papers. Shinshi, you'd better not regret this. Giving up custody means you can't see our son without my permission. I know, once we divorce, there's no way we'll get back together, even for the sake of our son. Josue threatened. Sign it, I urged, not wanting to waste words with Josue. If I hadn't been kept away from him, the first thing I would have done after my rebirth was to seek a divorce from him. Seeing my resolve, Josue signed his name flamboyantly. Shinshi, you brought this on yourself. If it weren't for your constant pressure, considering our son and our years of history, you could have remained Mrs. Zhou for life. It's you who didn't cherish that. Who cares? I said indifferently. In my previous life, maintaining a marriage with Josue was never about clinging to the status of Mrs. Zhou. It was purely the bond of blood. Pack your things and get out of my house, Josue said as he threw the signed divorce agreement at me. My bags were already packed. I was just waiting to divorce Josue. I turned and walked upstairs. Joeyran had also come home from school with Josue. Having been told by his teacher to reflect at home for a couple of days before returning to school, he had been hiding in a corner, eavesdropping on my conversation with Josue. Seeing me leave, he hurriedly followed. Are you really divorcing Dad? Joeyran asked me. Happy now, I said lightly, carrying my luggage. No one will be there to boss you around anymore. You can do anything you want, I said softly. Aren't you afraid that after you divorce Dad, no one will want you anymore? He asked. Who told you that no one would want me? I asked with a laugh, looking at him. Grandma and Dad both said it. Joeyran replied calmly. They said you're not good enough for Dad, that no one would want you after you divorce him, that you wouldn't dare to divorce Dad. I couldn't help but laugh. I had seen through Josue a long time ago. I didn't expect his mother to be the same. She always pretended to be a good person, complaining about her son in front of me, acknowledging how hard I worked raising the child. Turns out, behind my back, she just saw me as a free nanny for her grandson. But of course, it doesn't matter anymore. From now on, they are just irrelevant people. Just promise me you'll really stay out of my life, as well as Dad's and Aunt Lynn's, and I'll plead with Dad not to divorce you. Joeyran negotiated with me. No need, I said, gently patting his head. Take good care of yourself from now on, because from now on, his growth has nothing to do with me anymore. I left, dragging 2 large suitcases behind me. I didn't look back. I moved into a nicely furnished apartment I had found in advance, near University A. I'm preparing to take the entrance exams for graduate school, to further my education. Josue and I were college classmates. I gave up a guaranteed spot for postgraduate studies to help him start a business. after the business succeeded and we had our son, I shifted my focus to the family. I've always regretted not pursuing a master's or doctoral degree. Having been reborn, I've deeply realized that one must live for oneself. No one else can truly share your feelings. The day after I moved out of the Zhou family villa, I saw Lin Yaqi had posted on her social media. She had added me first. At the company's anniversary celebration, which I attended with Zhou Ziyu, Lin Yaqi complimented my earrings and asked for the link on WeChat. Later, she got the same pair of earrings, not bought by her, but gifted by Zhou Ziyu. Her post today read, "Poverty limits my imagination. Is such a huge backyard meant for playing football?" Attached was a photo of the back garden of the Zhou family villa. Clearly, her intention was to declare to the world that she was now openly with Zhou Ziyu. No longer the shameful mistress, I promptly liked the post, a match made in heaven, shameless and eternal. After I liked the post, Lin Yaqi immediately messaged me privately, "Shenshi, you wouldn't mind me posting that, right?" Ziyu insisted I post it, saying he's been unfair to me all these years. To provoke me, Lin Yaqi occasionally sent intimate photos of her and Zhou Ziyu, or wrote about how much Zhou Ziyu loved her. Then she would delete them shortly after, with a quick apology, "Sorry. Sent that by mistake." I used to lose my temper and argue with Zhou Ziyu because of her antics. Ultimately, it only worsened the relationship between Zhou Ziyu and me. He hardly came home anymore, even taking Zhou Iran to celebrate his birthdays with Lin Yaqi. Every time Zhou Iran returned from Lin Yaqi's place, he would say, "Aunt Lin is so nice to me, she's gentle and beautiful, I want her to be my mom." Looking back, I don't know how I endured it all in my past life. Fortunately, the pain was deep, leaving no room for attachment. I replied with a smile, "Why would I mind? Didn't I already give you a like? Are you showing off for Ziyu?" Lin Yaqi assumed that my divorce from Zhou Ziyu was just a spur-of-the-moment decision. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. It wasn't worth wasting time on such people. I was about to block Lin Yaqi. Then she sent another message, "You forgot to take something with you." Impossible, I check every day. There's no way I could have left anything behind. Lin Yaqi then sent a photo. It was a box of condoms. I generously replied, "I've given them to you. They're expired." Lin Yaqi sent a laughing emoji and added, "You haven't finished these from years ago. Ziyu uses several each day here. We can't buy them fast enough." Well, isn't that perfect? The trash I don't want. You enjoy recycling. Consider it making good use of waste. I replied calmly, "Who are you calling trash?" Lin Yaqi was instantly infuriated. As she furiously typed, I blocked her right away. Out of sight, out of mind. After blocking Lin Yaqi, my social circle felt much more refreshing. With no more disturbances, I devoted myself entirely to my graduate entrance exam preparations. A month later, I suddenly received a call from Zhou Ziyu. He bluntly asked, "Shenshi, where have you been hiding? If you didn't want to divorce, why the act? It's too late now." I then remembered. Today was the last day of the divorce cooling-off period. It was time to go to the Civil Affairs office to get the divorce certificate. I'm heading to the Civil Affairs office right now. I hung up the phone and didn't dare delay a second longer, pressing the gas pedal straight to the Civil Affairs office. Zhou Ziyu saw me arrive with a sarcastic smile. When we went to register for the divorce, we had agreed to meet at 10 o'clock this morning. It was already noon, and the staff at the Civil Affairs office had gone off duty. "Shenshi, when you made me sign the divorce papers, I had said regretting it later would be futile. What are you trying to pull today? We must get divorced." Zhou Ziyu sneered. "Fine," I agreed readily. "I should thank you. If you hadn't stepped aside, I wouldn't have known how well Lin Yaqi, despite her young age, could take care of children. When you looked after our son, it was chaos. But everything has been perfect since Lin Yaqi came," Zhou Ziyu boasted. "Congratulations on marrying such a capable wife," I responded, still being tough. Zhou Ziyu said with disdain, "Let's see how long you can keep it up." When I received the divorce certificate, I breathed a huge sigh of relief. I was afraid that my delay would exhaust Zhou Ziyu's patience and he would walk away. I really didn't want to waste another moment on him. "Shenshi." Zhou Ziyu called out loudly behind me because I was leaving quickly. "From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. If you ever regret this." I drove off, not wanting to hear another word from Zhou Ziyu. Now free, I felt even more motivated in my studies. Every day, apart from studying hard, I made sure to exercise regularly. I couldn't let myself end up with health issues like in my previous life. Half a year later, after relentless effort, I finally succeeded. During this period, Zhou Iran called me, hesitantly asking, "Mom, did you miss me?" I honestly replied, no, because mom has been very busy. Today is my 9th birthday. He sounded somewhat dejected. Happy birthday. I smiled as I offered my blessings. Don't you want to spend my birthday with me? Your father said that without his permission, I can't see you alone. Can't you ask Dad for permission? Joey Ran was somewhat agitated. No, I can't. Why must you always be at odds with Dad? Actually, Dad. Let's not talk about this anymore. I have important things to do. I took the initiative to hang up Joey Ran's call. This was something that would have never happened before. I used to wait for him to hang up first before I would put down my phone. See, actually, there's nothing that can't be let go of, as long as you're disappointed enough. One late night during my graduate studies, I suddenly received a call from Josiu. I hadn't blocked Josiu because I thought he would never contact me first. Indeed, over a year since our divorce, he had been a decent ex, as good as dead, half asleep. I didn't check who was calling. Hello, Shinshi. I'm not going to give you another chance. Josiu's voice was cold. Huh. I was utterly confused. Was he possessed? Lin Yaki is pregnant with my child, and I'm going to marry her, he declared proudly. Congratulations, I said politely, though annoyed to be woken up in the middle of the night. Huh, Josiu seemed to scoff. Then he hung up the phone. I didn't take it seriously, that is, until I received the wedding invitation from Josiu and Lin Yaki. I suspected they sent it to the wrong person, but my full name was on the invitation. Of course, just because they invited me didn't mean I had to go. I simply threw the invitation away. But then that day, Joey Ran called me. Mom, why haven't you arrived? Arrived where? I hadn't caught on yet. At the hotel for Dad and Aunt Lynn's wedding. I didn't say I was coming, but didn't Dad send you an invitation? I came early to save you a seat. Why aren't you coming? Joey Ran's voice was breaking. I felt unmoved and simply said, I have my own matters to attend to. I can't make it. Thanks for saving me a seat. You can give it to someone else now. As I was about to hang up, are those matters more important than me? Joey Ran asked, devastated. I thought for a moment and answered very seriously, yes, they are more important than you. You are not important at all. After rejecting my son, Josiu called again. Shinshi, are you unhappy about me marrying Lin Yaki? Are you taking it out on our son? What? I was baffled. What did you just say to our son? He's been crying. I didn't scold him, I explained. Stop making excuses. You're just upset that I married Lin Yaki. So you're taking it out on our son, at that moment. I was speechless. Admit it, Josiu said coldly, seeing I hadn't responded. It's too late for regrets now. I wish you and Lin Yaki a lifetime of happiness. After hanging up, I blocked Josiu as well. I thought that after Josiu and Lin Yaki's marriage, I thought there would be no more interaction between us. Yet, within less than a month, Josiu suddenly appeared at the entrance of University A. I was just leaving the lab with my senior, discussing data along the way. Out of the blue, I saw Josiu waiting for me at the gate with Joey Ran. How did he know I was pursuing my master's degree? When Josiu saw me, his gaze lingered on the person next to me. It seemed like there was anger in his eyes, or perhaps it was just my imagination. He said sarcastically, I was wondering why you abandoned your son. It turns out Shinshi has a new love. Does he know you were married and have a son? I'm aware. Before I could speak, my senior, Chen Jiqing, responded proactively. I heard her ex-husband was a scumbag. Do you know him? I couldn't help but laugh. Josiu's face turned dark. He coldly stated, I need to speak with Shinshi, meaning that he wanted Chen Jiqing to leave. Chen Jiqing ignored him and asked me, any trouble? No, I smiled at him. You can go back first. I'll return soon after. Call me if you need anything. I'll call the police for you. Okay, Chen Jiqing left. Can't bear to part, can you? Josiu mocked. I shifted my gaze back to him. What do you want? Is it fun to block me? Josiu retorted. Why keep someone irrelevant around? I responded calmly. So you're abandoning your son too, aren't you? I glanced at Joey Ran. Joey Ran was looking at me with hopeful eyes. I smiled. It's him who doesn't want me, and I respect his choice. I didn't abandon you. Joey Ran quickly said, I want to be with you forever. I approached Joey Ran, noting he had gained weight, and said with a smile, have you forgotten? You told me yourself that you wanted Aunt Lynn to be your mom, and now she is. Shouldn't you be happy? Joey Ran's eyes reddened, and he seemed to be struggling. Josiu cut to the chase. Yaki is pregnant and suffers from gestational syndrome, which makes her easily irritable. The doctor said she needs a quiet environment, so, during this time, our son needs to stay with you, but I'm very busy. The lab workload is huge. And I also need to prepare for my doctoral exams, I said, clearly distressed. Is reading some books more important than your son? Josue exploded upon hearing this. What use is there in getting old and still studying? How much money can it bring? Isn't the property I divided enough for your lifetime? Shinshi, what are you pretending for here? I didn't want to argue with Josue, but some people really push their limits. Taking a deep breath, I asked him, Josue, in all the years we were together, did I ever wrong you? Why bring this up all of a sudden? Josue grew agitated. I have never wronged you. I've been dedicated to you, our son, and our former home, now that we're divorced, and you insisted on custody, and our son said he preferred Lin Yaki. I've facilitated everyone's wishes. Now I'm living my own life. How am I in the wrong? When did I say you were wrong? Then why question my pursuit of a master's and a doctorate? Isn't this a critical period? Can't you, for the sake of our son, why do I always have to make sacrifices? I asked Josue coldly, laughing. When we graduated from university together, you asked me to give up my research opportunity to start a business with you. After our business succeeded and we had our son, you wanted me to sacrifice my career to return to the family. Then, after our divorce, as you wished, I gave up custody of our son. The more I spoke, the more absurd it seemed to me. Now, you have a new family and no longer need your son. You want me to sacrifice myself again to contribute to your happiness. Josue, don't you think you're being shameless? When did I say I no longer needed my son? I only said that during Lin Yaki's pregnancy, you could temporarily take care of him. I will double the child support, Josue retorted, clearly agitated by my words. What if Lin Yaki gets postpartum depression? Or develops nervous exhaustion after that? There are so many ailments one can have, I said sarcastically. Yaki isn't like that. She cares deeply for our son, as if he were her own, Josue insisted, catching the implication in my words. If that's the case, then how would our son possibly affect Lin Yaki's pregnancy? Isn't that contradictory? Josue was left speechless. There was a moment of silence. Suddenly, our son, Joiran, who was already 10 and understood much of our conversation, distressingly asked, Mom, do you really not want me anymore? I haven't abandoned you. I'm just reassured knowing you have Aunt Lin as your new mom. I gently told Joiran. Previously, to ensure Iran studied well, I often had to play the villain. Now, with no expectations, I vowed to never speak harshly to him again. However, Joiran seemed dissatisfied, saying, Mom, don't smile at me like that. It makes me feel like you don't love me. I stroked his head. How could I not love you? I just don't want to force you to do things you dislike, which might ruin you as you grow up. Enough, Shinshi, Josue interrupted, weary of my tone and perhaps feeling his pride wounded, as he had never been bested by me before. As he angrily left with Joiran, he threatened. Since you don't care about your son, I won't ask you anymore. Don't expect him to recognize you as his mother in the future. I shrugged indifferently. Whether or not I tried, when he grew up, he would only recognize Aunt Lin, not me. Why should I suffer unnecessarily? I decided to focus on living the life I truly wanted. Even though it's exhausting every day, it's joyful and fulfilling. Treating oneself well can indeed lead to a good life, if not occasionally interrupted. Today, after finishing a set of experimental data, I looked at my phone, which was on silent, and saw several missed calls from unknown numbers. I returned the call, and it was Josue. Shinshi, come to the hospital. Your son had an accident and is injured. He's been hospitalized. I hesitated but eventually went to the hospital. Regardless of everything, Joiran is still my biological son. Even if there's no affection, there's still responsibility. I just arrived at the hospital room door. I could hear the heated argument inside. Lin Yaki screamed, Josue, how long will it take for you to send your son away? If you don't do it soon, I might end up dying at his hands. It'll be a double tragedy. Look, Iran doesn't dislike you. Why can't you just leave him alone? He even broke a bone falling down the stairs, and you didn't show the slightest concern. Josue raised his voice too. So, what? You want to see me fall down the stairs next, if I die? You'd have a reason to get back with Shinshi and have your perfect little family reunion, right? Enough, Lin Yaki, stop being unreasonable. Iran needs to recover. Josue lost his patience. Well, I'll show you what being unreasonable is. Lin Yaki pressed aggressively. I'm laying it out today. Either you get rid of your son or I'll jump off a building with the child in my womb. Iran is only 10. Where do you expect him to go? Josue's voice trembled with anger. I don't care where he goes. I just can't stand seeing him anymore. Lin Yaqi was adamant, otherwise, prepare for a tragedy. With that, Lin Yaqi turned and left. As soon as she stepped out of the hospital room, she ran into me. Lin Yaqi was clearly taken aback when she saw me. I was stunned too. Was this still the delicate, youthful girl from before, now heavily pregnant? She could easily be mistaken for an older expectant mother. It had been only 2 years. Shenxi, what are you doing here? Lin Yaqi was like a lit fuse, ready to explode at anyone. I heard from Zhou that Iran was hospitalized, so I came to visit him. Are you here to see Zhou Iran or Zhou? What, trying to seduce Zhou while I'm pregnant? Is she out of her mind? But her being irrational anytime and anywhere isn't surprising, though I hadn't seen Lin Yaqi in the past 2 years, but having been with Zhou for many years, we share common friends occasionally. I hear from them that ever since Lin Yaqi found out she was having a boy, she started causing trouble nonstop. Any slightly attractive female staff at Zhou's company would be accused by her of trying to seduce him, pushing them to resign. She also didn't allow Zhou to attend any social events. If he did go, she would show up and create a scene, causing him to lose many major projects. They say Zhou was nearly driven mad by Lin Yaqi. Listening to all this, I found it somewhat amusing. How could anyone be driven mad like that? Zhou actually loved Lin Yaqi's lively spirit. I'm giving you a warning. Zhou suddenly burst out of the room, shouting at Lin Yaqi. He looked furious enough to devour her. Lin Yaqi probably hadn't seen Zhou this angry before and seemed a bit frightened. Then she straightened her belly, as if gaining some courage, and shouted at Zhou, if you dare to wrong me, I'll die just to show you, and you better deal with your son, or it's never over between us. Lin Yaqi turned and left. Zhou was shaking with rage. I stood by, watching the drama unfold. Do you think I deserve this? Zhou suddenly asked me. I suppressed my smile. It's none of my business, so I won't comment. I never expected Lin Yaqi to change so much during pregnancy. I'm not interested in your issues with her. I reminded him. I came to see your son. Zhou said no more. I entered Zhou Iran's hospital room. He lay on the bed, his eyes red. Clearly, he had heard his dad and Lin Yaqi arguing. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up and he excitedly called out, Mom. I nodded, rather unenthusiastically. I simply asked him how he was doing. He told me that when he came home from school today and was going upstairs, he ran into Lin Yaqi. He claimed that Lin Yaqi deliberately pushed him down the stairs, but Lin Yaqi insisted that he didn't want her to have another child who would compete for attention. So he tried to push her down the stairs to harm the baby she was carrying. Lin Yaqi acted in self-defense and accidentally pushed Zhou Iran down the stairs. Zhou Iran also said that Lin Yaqi was very cruel to him, that her previous kindness was all an act. Ever since she married his father, she secretly hit and scolded him, calling him an unwanted wild child. She always forced him to eat chicken leg burgers, even when he didn't want to, saying that he only deserved such junk food. The more Zhou Iran spoke, the more he cried. I listened but remained calm. Indifferently, I reminded him, you shouldn't be telling me these things. You should talk to your dad or your grandmother. They don't believe me. They only believe Aunt Lin. Zhou Iran cried sorrowfully. They only care about the child in her womb. They don't care about me at all. They don't love me. They despise me. Mom, can I come live with you? Zhou Iran clung to me tightly. I'll be good and listen to you from now on. I won't say bad things about you anymore. Mom, I know you really love me. It was all my fault before. I shouldn't have spoken ill of you and disliked you. I was wrong. Can you forgive me? Zhou Iran kept crying. He was truly afraid that I didn't want him anymore. But the truth is, I didn't want him anymore. I gently but distantly pushed his hand away and said, Iran, everyone must take responsibility for their choices. When you chose Aunt Lin, Mom had already left your world, but I regret it now. I know I was wrong. If you regret it, then you should change yourself, not try to change me. I said calmly, my life now will not change for anyone, especially not for you and Zhou. I coldly left Zhou Iran's hospital room. There was no possibility of forgiveness, nor had I ever considered forgiving him. Shenxi, when did you become so cold-hearted? Iran is your own son. How can you just abandon him? Don't you feel that you owe him? Zhou stood at the door of the hospital room, angrily confronting me. I paused, responding methodically to Zhou. Firstly, according to our divorce agreement, I have been providing child support every month. I have fulfilled my responsibilities as a mother and have not neglected him. Secondly, Zhou Iran is also your biological son, and you have custody, so you should be the one to manage your household affairs and ensure that Joiran has a comfortable living environment. Lastly, our marriage ended because of your infidelity. You have no right to say that I owe Joiran anything. If anyone owes him, it's you." Josiu flushed with embarrassment. After a moment, he seemed to muster great courage and asked me, "Shinshi, must I humble myself before you?" I looked at him, puzzled. "By doing this, you want me to apologize to you voluntarily, to say that I regret divorcing you to marry Lin Yaki. Fine, I admit, I was wrong. I shouldn't have fallen for Lin Yaki's seduction back then. It was wrong of me to let her ruin our relationship and marriage, and to divorce you because of her," Josiu said, his regret tinged with arrogance. He continued, "I promise you, once Lin Yaki has had the baby and the law allows, I will divorce her immediately and we can be together again." I remained silent, utterly shocked by Josiu's words. I couldn't fathom how shameless a person could be to say such things so matter-of-factly. "I know you've been single these past 2 years," Josiu added. "You've been improving yourself, focusing on your studies and keeping fit. Is it all just to make me regret, to make me see? So you think I'm living my life just to show you?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Shinshi, we're not getting any younger. There's no need to go through these motions. Just take the deal. I'm not that patient." Josiu seemed uninterested in a drawn-out conversation. He said, "I still have a large flat. You and our son can move there first. After I divorce Lin Yaki, you can move back into the villa." I didn't respond, just looked at Josiu and laughed. Josiu was getting frustrated. "What are you laughing at? Are you that happy?" "I'm laughing at how someone can be so utterly shameless, Shinshi." Josiu fumed. "I don't know where you get the confidence from, thinking I would remarry a reckless man who's been irresponsible in his relationships and is arrogantly proud of it. Am I sick? You better watch what you're saying, Shinshi. I'm only giving you this chance for our son's sake. Don't push it. Keep this wonderful opportunity for someone else. I can't afford it," I said emphatically, "and I'm not interested." "Stop being sarcastic." Josiu couldn't hide his anger. "You don't really think that a divorced woman in her 30s with a 10-year-old child will be sought after by men? They're just playing with you. Which man would seriously marry such a woman?" "Why, you can remarry, can't you?" I retorted. "Are men and women the same? Can a man not change his ways and be valued like gold? What about women?" Josiu was utterly scornful. So this was why Josiu felt no remorse about his repeated infidelities within the marriage. As a man, he was far too pleased with himself. "I don't need your concern. Even if no man wants me for the rest of my life, I wouldn't consider you again," I flatly refused. Before Josiu could speak, I added, "Moreover, who said a woman needs a man to live? Why can't I enjoy being independent? I'm doing just fine on my own. Why should I serve someone else? Can't I spend money? Can't I enjoy my days? Do I lack arms or legs that I absolutely need a man?" Josiu was left red-faced by my words. The more I spoke, the more amused I became, and I left laughing. I really don't understand how, in this day and age, Josiu's male chauvinism can still be taken for granted. In my past life, I must have had my head caught in a door to have put up with him for so long. After parting ways with Josiu on bad terms, he didn't bother me again. I successfully stayed on at the university to pursue my PhD. Continuing to explore the academic field I love, there was a college reunion. I initially didn't want to go, but my former roommate, who had always been persuasive, insisted, and mentioned Josiu wouldn't be there. He said there was a mess at home and that he couldn't come, so I agreed to attend the event. During the banquet, a classmate couldn't help gossiping. "Did you guys know? Josiu was almost driven crazy by his mistress." Then he turned to look at me. "Shinshi, you don't mind us talking about your ex-husband, right?" "Why should I mind? He's my ex after all," I said with a laugh. "Well, I'm not holding back then," the classmate went on, revealing more. "Josiu's mistress is really something, always causing drama, using her status as the mother of his child. She embarrasses Josiu in public, bans attractive female employees from his company, and even disrupts his business dinners. She's practically ruining his company. It's said she's even trying to kick Josiu's oldest son out of the house to make way for her own son. But that's not even the main point. There's an even bigger bombshell." The other classmates were all curious, pressing him for more details. With exaggerated excitement, the classmate declared, "The child born to Josiu's mistress isn't even his." "Really? No way. How did they find out?" everyone was asking at once. "When the baby was born, they did a blood type test, right? The son is type O, Josiu is type AB. It's impossible for him to father a type O child, so Josué must be furious, right? This is like being cuckolded. And to think his mistress has been so brazen because of this child. Josué might as well have killed her, exclaimed the classmate. I heard Josué almost did kill her, and now they seem to be going through divorce proceedings, because he hit her. I heard the divorce is going to cost him a lot. Listening to all this, I thought. Who says there's no justice? My roommate cheekily asked me, hearing all this gossip. Don't you think coming here was worth it? I nodded. Indeed, it was quite satisfying. However, just as the reunion was about to end, nobody expected Josué to suddenly appear. We had been talking about him all evening, and seeing him in person made everyone somewhat awkward. Is it over? Josué appeared quite composed. It's over. The class president hurriedly replied, sorry, I was held up by something. No worries, let's catch up another time, said the class president straightforwardly. Normally, we might have stayed longer with Josué, but this time we just dispersed. Josué didn't say much else. Classmates began leaving one after another. I had drunk a bit and didn't drive, so I was standing by the roadside hailing a cab. I'll give you a ride. Josué rolled down his car window. No need, I refused. Come on, it's on the way. Really, no thanks, with no other choice. He stopped the car and came over to me. I pretended not to see him. You must have heard about how Linyaki played me. Josué said. I just heard. I didn't hide my amusement. It's really quite funny. Today, Linyaki and I officially divorced. Josué looked at me. I didn't respond. After all, it was none of my business, and I wasn't interested. Last time, I wasn't sincere enough. Josué suddenly said in a subdued tone, I've regretted it for a long time, just couldn't swallow my pride to ask you. Looking at him, I found it amusing. You can swallow your pride now. What? Suddenly no one wants you. Aren't men considered priceless once they've truly changed? Shouldn't she? I admit I was harsh before, but I never intended to hurt you. I just didn't know how else to get you back, Josué said helplessly, so I resorted to reverse psychology. Thanks for your reverse psychology. It only succeeded in making you more repulsive to me. Josué's face flushed red and then turned pale from my words. He said, shouldn't she? I'm sorry. I really realize my mistakes now. I swear, I won't do anything to hurt you again. Let's start over. Just you, me, and our son. The three of us, the three of us. How could he even dare to say those words? I could barely contain my disgust. Come back home with me. Josué reached out to me. I skillfully avoided his hand. Josué, somewhat embarrassed, continued, our son is waiting at home. He's really missed you these past few years and regrets the things he said to you. It's not just him, I have regrets too. So, can you forgive us just this once? I can't forgive you. I shook my head. My response was firm. Shouldn't she? Why should I forgive just because you regret? What about all the suffering I went through? What about the enlightenment I gained over a lifetime? I asked him coldly. A lifetime? Josué didn't understand. There was no need for me to explain further. I coldly stated, from the moment we divorced, it was truly over between us. You don't need to waste your time coming after me, and don't use our son to try to reconcile. It's useless. Not only is it useless, but you also annoy me because you disrupt my life. Are you worried I won't really change? Josué asked. It has nothing to do with me. If I were you, I'd have concerns too. Josué seemed to understand me, saying, I'll show you. How much clearer can I be? I will not get back together with you. Aren't you still single? Josué assumed my being single meant I was waiting for him to reform. I had no strength left to explain. Josué was too confident. He thought that just by turning around, I would definitely be waiting there for him. Let him think what he wants. Eventually, he'll realize that I've long moved on, far beyond his reach and unworthy of me. Half a year later, at the centennial celebration of University A, all alumni of University A were invited to attend. The campus was bustling. As a distinguished alumnus, I stood at the podium in the grand auditorium. The hall was packed, including Josué among the audience. He probably couldn't believe that I was standing on such a prestigious and significant platform. Behind me on the big screen were all my academic achievements over the years, achievements that would leave a permanent mark in the university's centennial history. After my speech, thunderous applause filled the hall. I thought I heard someone shouting, "Senior sister, you're amazing." I smiled and bowed before leaving. Walking through the campus, many students came up to me, wanting photos and autographs. After finally managing to send off waves of students, I saw Josué and his much-grown son, Joiran, appearing before me. Joiran excitedly said, "Mom, I just saw your speech in the auditorium, and I'm so proud of you. Everyone around was saying how incredible you were. I smiled faintly, offering a polite thank you before turning to leave. Shunshi, Zhouziyu called out to me nervously. I looked back at him, his eyes still carried a look of surprise. As if he couldn't pinpoint when I had started to change, I had become completely different from the middle-aged woman he remembered, who used to revolve solely around him and our son. He sincerely expressed, "You were really impressive today. I hadn't expected you to achieve so much in the academic field, so, have you finally come to realize?" I asked him, with a hint of mockery. Zhouziyu's face showed a trace of embarrassment, but he quickly masked it, saying, "It's not because of your achievements that I want to reconcile. I've been wanting to get back together even when I didn't know about them. I know you've always resented me for betraying you," Zhouziyu said anxiously, seemingly realizing that I was drifting further away from him. He said passionately, "The truth is, I've always loved you. My thing with Lin Yaqi was just a fleeting attraction and male vanity. I never once thought of divorcing you. Lin Yaqi and I were just play acting." It felt like the biggest joke I had ever heard in this life and the past one, but I did not interrupt him. Zhouziyu continued regretfully, "The reason I insisted on having our son's custody was to avoid divorce, knowing you wouldn't bear to part with him, but I never expected you to actually give up the custody, leaving me no choice but to agree to the divorce. After the divorce, I never intended to be with Lin Yaqi. I've been waiting for you to come back. I even took precautions every time I was with Lin Yaqi because I never thought about having a child with her, so, I should be grateful to you for the magnanimous act of using protection while betraying me emotionally and physically." Lin Yaqi said she was pregnant, and I didn't think much of it, never suspecting she might be cheating on me. "I thought the contraception just failed," Zhouziyu said, still unable to hide his anger. He paused for several seconds before continuing. "When Lin Yaqi insisted on a commitment, I actually didn't agree. Do you remember that night I called you? If you had just said not to marry Lin Yaqi, I wouldn't have, but you said nothing, and in anger, I agreed to marry her. Even on the day I married Lin Yaqi, I was still waiting for you to stop the wedding. If you had come, I would have chosen you, but you didn't. I had no choice but to marry Lin Yaqi." Listening to Zhouziyu's so-called love for me was really hard to assess. He continued in agony, "After marrying Lin Yaqi, she caused endless dramas, making me a laughingstock in the business world. That's when I truly realized how good you were to me, how tolerant. I even wished I could divorce her immediately and get back together with you, but she was pregnant, and legally I couldn't divorce her, so I hoped you would wait for me. I even thought about using our son to win you back, but you kept refusing me. Do you know how scared I was? I was terrified of never being able to find you again." Zhouziyu's eyes were reddened, yet, I found it utterly ridiculous. At least, I never felt his fear then. He still acted superior in front of me. Later, Lin Yaqi had a son, but he wasn't mine. I was extremely angry yet relieved. I could finally divorce Lin Yaqi and be with you. Zhouziyu looked at me with hope in his eyes. "Shunshi, I'm sorry. I used to be terribly wrong. From now on, if I ever do anything to hurt you again, I'll cut off my own legs. Mom, I'll be good and listen to you from now on. I won't break your heart again." Zhou followed with a promise. I watched the father and son. I saw their remorse, their deep affection, and their anticipation, yet, I remained unmoved. Seeing no response from me, Zhouziyu spoke again. "Shunshi, won't you come back to us? Let us make up for the hurt we caused you." "Okay, no need." I shook my head. "I've healed from those wounds a long time ago. I don't need them, and I certainly don't care for them anymore." "Shunshi, Zhouziyu, don't you think that you're no longer worthy of me?" I cut him off, mocking his presumptuousness. Zhouziyu quickly tried to clarify his stance. "Shunshi, it's you the person I like, whether it's the you from the past or the you now, regardless of whether you're outstanding or not, and why should I, being so outstanding, settle for scraps?" I asked him with a laugh, not sparing him any dignity. His face turned red, probably out of shame. Still, he didn't give up. He said, "Shunshi, haven't you always been single? So, being single is his reason to assume I would come back to him." I smiled and turned my gaze away. Chin quickly came to my side and naturally wrapped his arms around me, clearly eager for my acknowledgement. He casually greeted Zhouziyu and Zhou, ex-brother-in-law, and big son. Zhouziyu's eyes were fixed on Chin's hands around my waist. "Shunshi, to reject me, did you have to pick just anyone?" "It's not just anyone." I knew what Zhouziyu was about to say, but I ran out of patience and spoke bluntly. I've been single for so many years because I enjoyed being alone. Now, I'm not single because I find this man worthy enough to start a new marriage with. I watched as Josue struggled to accept this, then twisted the knife a bit more. So, my being single or not has nothing to do with you, it's about my own choice, and you, in my heart, are just a nobody. With that said, I left, arm in arm with Chinjiching. As we were leaving, Chinjiching suddenly turned back and said, she is pregnant, with twins. He knew exactly how to strike at the heart. I didn't look back at Josue and Joiran's expressions, I only faintly heard Joiran asking Josue with a sobbing voice, "Dad, does Mom really not want us anymore?" "Yes." Josue's voice was restrained, "She really doesn't, she hasn't for a long time." It was him, who had been deceiving himself all along. Story 2, people always said Zhou Qinchuan was indifferent and aloof, but he pursued me like a dog for 10 years, until I was pushed into a raging fire. He didn't hesitate to abandon his fortune worth hundreds of millions and followed me into the inferno, reborn into this life. I decided not to be the bad woman who kept him hanging, and instead devoted myself wholeheartedly to treating him well. Unfortunately, it seems he was reborn too. Lin Huan, do you still want to treat me like a dog like in your past life? I was cornered by him, forced to sign a divorce agreement. He said he would never want me in this lifetime, absolutely never. When I was 11, someone cruelly broke 5 of my fingers. From that moment, I vowed to become someone at the pinnacle of this world, by any means necessary, without scruples. Later, I did many wrong things and eventually, I was retaliated against and pushed into a fire. As I was being swallowed by the flames, I thought of nothing, but then, a white figure burst into my view and held me tight. It was Zhou Qinchuan, my husband, the man who loved me so deeply, a man without any blemishes in his life except for me. As we turned to ash, I thought, if there is another life, I swear I'll dedicate my heart and soul to only being good to him. 2. This is the divorce agreement, sign it. The flickering lights made my thoughts swirl. The man standing opposite lowered his eyes, hiding the coldness in his gaze. Zhou Qinchuan, don't be like this. I tried to grab his hand, his veins throbbed, and he quickly withdrew his hand. This was the first hour and 41 minutes of my rebirth. Suddenly, I felt an inexplicable sense of relief. Zhou Qinchuan finally realized I was a bad woman who deceived him out of his money and emotions. He didn't want me anymore. 3. I sat in a cake shop, looking through the thin glass, watching 2 figures swaying in the opposite school building. Zhou Qinchuan surely didn't know I was secretly watching him explain a problem to that girl, who was nearly clinging to his sleeve. Yes, in this life, Zhou Qinchuan should know who is kind and who is innocent, but still, I propped up my chin and sent a message to that girl. Xiaomiao, how are you seducing your brother-in-law? 4. Lin Xiaomiao is my younger sister, to be precise. She is the real daughter, and I am the fake one. I was picked up by Lin's mother on a stormy day when I was 12. Everyone thought it was a coincidence, but it wasn't. To make Lin's mother find me pitiful on that rainy day, I deliberately broke my own leg. I wanted glory and wealth, to be above everyone else, to never taste that bone-deep humiliation again. When Lin Xiaomiao was 16, she was found and brought back to the Lin family. She was always kind, innocent, and pure. The things I had to break my bones to achieve, she obtained without doing anything. I hated her. I wondered why she didn't have to fall into the mire and taste the pain. 5. I am such a wicked and bad woman. So, in my past life, I suffered a lot. Perhaps, Lin Xiaomiao was really like what those people described. She was like a goddess, so I must have angered the gods. In this life, the only person who loved me also abandoned me. I curled up on the sofa, staring at the divorce agreement on the coffee table. Zhou Qinchuan, are you coming home tonight? This message lying in my phone had gone unanswered for 4 whole hours. Zhou Qinchuan's disposition was always indifferent. His friends always complained that he is as cold as ice. But in my past life, I never felt that way. To me, he was like my dog. He would come whenever he smelled me, always rubbing against me, ready to hold my hand the moment it was free. Forget not replying to messages. If I said one thing, he would respond eagerly with 10. But now, a message popped up, and I thought it was from him. I hurried to check, but it wasn't. It was from Lin Xiaomiao, a message accompanied by a picture. Sister, I didn't mean to seduce your husband. I just want to help manage our father's company. So your husband was just introducing me to some people. In the photo, the girl stood next to him with a charming smile. They looked like a perfect match. I must have called Zhou Qinchuan a dozen times. He didn't pick up. and eventually, he just blocked me. Actually, Zhou Qingchuan was never good with social niceties. He was all about academia. In my past life, to take some shares of my father's company from Lin Xiaomiao, I asked him to help me win over those in the pharmaceutical industry. He did it without a word of complaint. I never considered that he was a professor from a prestigious university, too dignified to bow down and beg favors from those people. I only remember one incident from my past life. I was discussing a partnership and got drunk, so I called him to pick me up. The private room was filled with influential figures, and as I leaned against the sofa, I watched his pale figure approach step by step. Come here, calling him over as if teasing a dog. A highly respected medical professor, a man who never lowered his chin in his daily life, being joked about by me in public like that must have felt exhilarating at the time. Everyone thought he would storm out, but what did Zhou Qingchuan do then? He walked up to me step by step, then he naturally squatted down and grasped my ankle. He adjusted my dangling high heel. Looking up, his eyebrows seemed like a gentle mural. It's getting colder tonight, don't catch a cold, Huan. He liked calling me that, but after being reborn, he never called me that again. I'm a light sleeper, so I woke up the moment he came home. I lay there, wanting to see what he would do seeing me completely unguarded, but he just walked past me, not even willing to cover me with a blanket. I sat up and threw the divorce papers at his back. The man paused, his spine attractively visible. Don't damage it. If I have to draft it again, you won't get as much. Under the moonlight, I sat there watching him, his tone calm, a shadow of a cloud hid in his pupils, mixed with obscure coldness. I won't sign. I stared at him intently. He seemed to expect it, nodding. Okay, then we'll go to court. Zhou Qingchuan, you bastard. I lunged at him, trying to grab him, but he subdued me easily. Under the curved moonlight, he pinned me on the couch, his hand gripped my neck, not gently at all. I bit the base of his thumb. He seemed not to feel the pain, but suddenly, he let go. A gentle touch brushed across my cheek. So you can cry too. He left these cold and ambiguous words behind, leaving me alone in the living room. I pressed my eyes shut tightly, as if that would stop the tears from spilling out. Don't leave me behind. I made a vow when I was 10, never to say those words again. I refused to sign the divorce papers. The next day, Zhou Qingchuan withdrew from all collaborations related to me. The Zhou family owns a significant part of the medical industry, and he is a top scholar in this field. I admit, in my previous life, I married him for profit. I knew he didn't want me anymore, but still, when I found out he had shifted all the projects to collaborate with Lin Xiaomiao, my heart felt a dull pain. Although I also felt this was just, in my previous life, he truly saw through me. Lin Xiaomiao was so pure and clean, unlike me, who was accustomed to achieving goals through dirty means. His withdrawal from the collaboration served as a warning to others in the field, and suddenly, I found myself completely isolated. I decided to try and win Zhou Qingchuan over again. Zhou Qingchuan, are you at school? I made some lunch. Can I bring it over? I didn't dare to hope that he still had feelings for me, but I genuinely hoped he could remember our past and not be too ruthless. Staring at my phone, which showed no response, I felt my face thickening with shame. After yesterday's quarrel, when it came to matters of benefit, I still had to beg. I planned to cook him a delicious meal and deliver it personally. Then I realized a problem. I had no idea what Zhou Qingchuan liked to eat. On the contrary, he probably knew my likes and dislikes by heart, as feeding me all sorts of delicacies was his greatest obsession in his previous life. I wasn't that delicate, but I enjoyed being capricious in front of him. Zhou Qingchuan, this noodle is too hard. Zhou Qingchuan, who would eat such soft noodles? Zhou Qingchuan, I don't like spicy food. Zhou Qingchuan, when did you start cooking so blandly? He only got angry with me once. His dark eyebrows and eyes stared at me intensely, his tone cold and serious. Huan, do you think I will always stand by your side? I looked down at my manicured nails and told him, then you can leave. That was my response, and he really did leave, in sub-zero weather. He stormed out without his coat, probably fuming with anger. Around evening, I sent him a message. Zhou Qingchuan, I miss you. Within moments, the door was opened. He suddenly pulled me into his arms, the cold air mixing with his warmth, his tall nose pressed against my neck, and I heard him say, yes, I will always stand by your side. You see, training Professor Zhou in my previous life was even simpler than training a dog. The third time I cut my hand until it bled. Staring at the boiling unknown substance in the pot, I snapped back from my memories. Realizing that I was not talented in cooking, I ended up ordering takeout from Lin Chuan Pavilion, and transferred it into my own thermos. After all, there wasn't much difference between home-cooked and takeout, probably. Sorry, sister, I didn't know you also brought lunch for Teacher Zhou. He has already eaten the meal I made. Lin Xiaomiao stood in front of me, visibly flustered and panicking. Call him brother-in-law. I smiled at her, noticing her hands tighten within her sleeves. Zhou Qingchuan, I stood in front of the man who was eating his meal, head bowed, ignoring me. I took the chopsticks from his hand and replaced the lunchbox in front of him with mine. He stared at the dish for a moment before finally fixing his deep, dark eyes on me. Look, I extended my hand, covered in band-aids, towards him. I got these cuts while cooking for you. It took me a long time. Won't you eat my cooking? I met his gaze calmly, yet it felt as if I was on the verge of shattering. Finally, he sighed. Lin Huan, this dish looks exactly like the ones from Lin Chuange. Did you learn it from them? I pretended not to understand the teasing in his words and decided to just let everything go. Zhou Qingchuan, just tell me if you will eat it or not. It seemed like whenever I got angry, he would soften and coax me. I was used to this, but I had forgotten that this wasn't the same as our past lives. Yet, he still bowed his head and slowly ate the seafood congee in front of him. Obediently, just like the Zhou Qingchuan of our past life who would do anything I asked. After finishing, he watched me as I bent over for the first time to clean up the lunchbox. Lin Huan, he called my name, clear and refreshing like a stream. I'm allergic to seafood. After 2 lifetimes, you still can't remember. Shocked, I looked up at him. His usually pale wrist was now noticeably red and rashy, plainly visible to me. Is torturing me to death the only thing that makes you happy? Zhou Qingchuan had a severe seafood allergy, from the redness starting at his wrist to his incessant coughing and eventually difficulty in breathing. It only took a few minutes. How could you let him touch seafood at all? The doctor said if we had brought Mr. Zhou in any later, he might have died. Sister, how could you not know about this? Why didn't you know? At the hospital door, Lin Xiaomiao looked at me with teary eyes, her voice tinged with a cry. She liked Zhou Qingchuan. I knew that, otherwise, I wouldn't have given him a second glance in our past lives. Well, he drank it himself, didn't he? I weakly defended myself when the door to the hospital room opened. The nurse nodded, indicating the patient was awake. Through the slightly open door, I saw Zhou Qingchuan sitting on the bed, looking at me. It seemed he had heard every word of my feeble defense. His gaze was empty, void of anything, even disappointment. Lin Xiaomiao rushed to his bedside. Mr. Zhou, how are you? I followed, but the man, silent for a long time, suddenly coughed. Lin Huan, his voice was low, his dark eyes staring straight at me. My heart skipped a beat, and I instinctively walked towards him. Can you never appear in front of me again? This was Zhou Qingchuan's request. I don't know why my reaction was even more intense than his. I stormed out of the hospital room, slamming the door behind me. Yes, I manipulated situations. I was heartless. I was utterly wicked. But why? Why couldn't he still stand by my side? Why couldn't he just stand by my side, no matter what kind of person I was? He chose Lin Xiaomiao over me. When I got home, I happened to spot the stuffed toy lying on the sofa. It was a limited edition dragon that he won for me before we got married. He thought of it as just an ordinary gift. Back then, I had no clue that to win this dragon, he had scoured 5 malls and emptied 4 claw machines. In the end, he presented it to me in a bar. That day, I had him drink a lot. His ears turned red, slightly tipsy. He pulled out the dragon from behind his back. Lin Huan, he called my name. Can you look at me? He hid behind the dragon, waving its claws at me. Can I stay by your side, even if, it was a faint sigh, barely audible next to me. He threw away all the dignity of being Zhou Qingchuan. Even if I have to be the backup, that's fine. It turns out, memories really do haunt you in the dead of night. As I stood at the door of Zhou Qingchuan's hospital room past midnight, that's what I thought. The night was silent, the curtains barely covering the window. I stood beside his bed, looking down at the man who seemed restless even in his sleep. Zhou Qingchuan's face, undoubtedly, had the charm that made college girls daydream about him. With his high nose bridge and sharp brow bones, he always carried an air of pride. How come? He's been entangled with me for most of my life. I unconsciously leaned closer, only to find myself caught in his cold, deep gaze. He had woken up at some point, leaning against the headboard, watching me. His look was so cold, I instinctively stepped back. Have you finally grown to dislike me? I sniffled. For some reason, under the dim moonlight, I suddenly found myself smirking at him with a bit of self-mockery. Surprised, he said, clearly biting each word, "Shouldn't I dislike you?" I felt a dark sharpness expanding around him. He sat up straight, his earnestness heartbreaking. "You're so selfish, so utilitarian, always resorting to the lowest tactics. Shouldn't I dislike you, Lin Huan? But so what, Zhou Qingchuan? Are you telling me you just found out I'm like this?" For some reason, tonight I was easily provoked. The night was uneasy, and for the first time I wasn't so effortlessly poised in front of him. I grabbed his collar, feeling his anger too, as the blue veins on his neck stood out prominently. "What's wrong? You don't want me anymore? Or do you think Lin Xiaomiao is better? That's why you're so affectionate with her. Let me tell you, even if we divorce, I won't let you have a happy future. If I can't have it, I'll destroy it. For someone like me, who lives in the mire and can't stand the sight of any bright light, it's impossible for them to reach a so-called happy ending." I bared my teeth at him, but was met with his clear, calm eyes. He leaned back on the bed, a faint smile on his lips as he looked at me. "Ah Juan, when did you become so irritable, so easily stirred up? You've lost." I suddenly let go of his collar. Yes, what am I doing? Not only exposing my weaknesses. At this moment, if I wanted to find a way to get through the current difficulties, the best solution would be to appease the man in front of me. In my past life, I was adept at this, but looking at the man who now sat composedly before me, my throat felt clogged, and I couldn't speak. After a while, I swallowed the words, "Please, I beg you." Instead, I said, "Fine, just you wait, Zhou Qingchuan, I can do just fine without you. Also, I will not lose, refuse to lose, and absolutely cannot lose." I walked out of the hospital room in high heels. Falling out with Zhou Qingchuan meant giving up on him completely. No matter how you look at it, it was an impractical plan. But I no longer wanted to bow down to him. "It was you who gave up everything to join me in hell in our past lives. You who always clung." The best solution would be to appease the man in front of me. In my past life, I was adept at this, but looking at the man who now sat composedly before me, my throat felt clogged, and I couldn't speak. After a while, I swallowed the words, "Please, I beg you." Instead, I said, "Fine, just you wait, Zhou Qingchuan, I can do just fine without you. Also, I will not lose, refuse to lose, and absolutely cannot lose." I walked out of the hospital room in high heels. Falling out with Zhou Qingchuan meant giving up on him completely. No matter how you look at it, it was an impractical plan. But I no longer wanted to bow down to him. "It was you who gave up everything to join me in hell in our past lives. You who always clung to me. You endured my deceit for so long, and I had already decided to treat you well. I had already started to see you as family. Why then?" I stared at my reflection in the elevator mirror. Luckily, I walked away so quickly, he couldn't see my eyes, red and swollen with tears. "Why, tell me now, you've come to your senses." It felt like being thrown back into the mire. Zhou Qingchuan's departure triggered a series of chain reactions. Everything unfolded just like in our past lives. Lin Xiaomiao gradually won everyone's favor, while I became the universally despised villain. The only difference was that Zhou Qingchuan, who had always been by my side in the past life, was no longer here. "Miss Lin really knows how to hold her liquor." The middle-aged, slightly corpulent man approached me, reeking of alcohol. I struggled greatly to suppress the urge to pour my drink over his balding head. This collaboration was crucial. My father had already begun to lose hope in me, showing a clear preference for nurturing Lin Xiaomiao. Over the years, my ambition to climb the ranks had made me too many enemies. And what would become of me, an orphan with no support? I might just be kicked back into the mire I came from. "Mr. Wang is joking." I brushed my hair from my forehead, and the man stared at me, almost drooling. But whenever the topic of collaboration came up, he would skillfully change the subject, taking the opportunity to ply me with more alcohol. He was indeed a sly old fox. The discomfort from the alcohol continually assaulted my brain, and I squinted my eyes, drinking another glass amid the cheering crowd. But in a daze, a sharp figure suddenly entered my view. The door of the private room opened. "Ah, Professor Zhou, you finally arrived." The disdainful and lecherous old man who had just been ogling me immediately switched to a flattering demeanor. And this was the first time I saw Zhou Qingchuan in 3 months. He still seemed like a pristine white lotus, untouched by the dirt of the world. "Mr. Wang," the man casually nodded at the others, "I'm here to introduce one of my students to you." With that, I saw Lin Xiaomiao timidly peeking from behind Zhou Qingchuan. Now I understood why Mr. Wang had been so evasive earlier. His pharmaceutical company could double its market value if it could connect with Zhou Qingchuan. And with Lin Xiaomiao here, Zhou Qingchuan paving the way meant I had to hand over my deal to her. Strangely, Lin Xiaomiao seemed uninterested, yet she always managed to precisely snatch away everything related to me. The deal fell through. I feared that if I stayed a few seconds longer, I wouldn't be able to stop myself from throwing my drink, half on Mr. Wang's head, half on Zhou Qingchuan's head. So I pretended to greet them and walked out of the private room. But as I supported myself along the hallway, something felt terribly wrong. My body felt strange, as if something was burning up. My head was heavy, my feet light, my body weak. What had that old man, Pai Yangda, put in my drink? The next second, I was abruptly pulled into a corner nearby. I struggled violently, but my body was too weak to fight back. Hee, Miss Zhou, can you just stay still? Everyone knows you're just a cast-off. You were adopted. There was Zhou Qingchuan. And you squandered that. However, if you're willing to spend the night with me, I might just consider giving you this deal. His greasy voice exploded next to my ear. The drug was extremely potent. My limbs were weak. I desperately tried to make some noise, but the club was high-end with good sound insulation, and there was no one around. I could only watch helplessly as that man lecherously reached under my skirt. But suddenly, footsteps echoed in the hallway. I had never been so certain that they were Zhou Qingchuan's footsteps. It was only at that moment that I realized how familiar I was with him. I desperately tried to make a noise, but the man was pressing down on me, choking me, making it hard to breathe. For the first time, tears fell heavily due to physical discomfort. You motherfucker. I heard him panting threats in my ear. Just as the footsteps started to fade, an untimely noise was made. The footsteps stopped, then turned towards us. I struggled fiercely, silently raging. Zhou Qingchuan, come the fuck over here. I'm about to die. But whether out of rage or desperation, the man pressed his fingers harder around my throat. My heart raced as the footsteps stopped right beside us. Suddenly, a timid, sweet voice called from down the hall. Mr. Zhou, there are a lot of people in the room, and I'm really scared by myself. Can you come and keep me company? Don't go to such a dark place. The footsteps abruptly halted. My heart sank into boundless darkness. The next second, I was abruptly pulled into the dimly lit hallway. The man's screams also abruptly resounded in my ears. Zhou Qingchuan seemed to have learned some fighting skills over the years, but when the man was thrown out, I was also shocked. Then, I fell into a less than enthusiastic embrace. Zhou Qingchuan, he took off his coat and draped it over my disheveled form. The turmoil inside me surged more than ever due to his brief touch. Strangely, I resisted letting things continue this way and struggled to get off him, but he held me tightly. My throat was sweet, unable to make a sound. Slowly, more and more people came out of the private room, and I saw Lin Xiaomiao's red, aggrieved eyes. My consciousness then sank into a deep, dark stupor. I was awakened by the cold. The shower continuously sprayed liquid much colder than my body temperature. The man stood by, watching me. His thoughts inscrutable. Give me my clothes. I tried to get up. Finding my limbs powerless, his touch sparked a shiver. I abruptly shook off his hand. In fact, in my past life, I always treated Zhou Qingchuan this way. Temper is nurtured, and in my past life, his indulgence almost let me do whatever I wanted. Mr. Wang gave you a very new drug. Are you sure you can walk out? He looked down at me, his expression ambiguous. I worked in drug research and understood the lingering effects and antidotes for such drugs, and now, the perfect antidote was right in front of me. If it were the me from my past life, I would have clung to him by now. But now, I hesitated. Suddenly, the sound of a belt unbuckling lightly echoed. I shivered. Then the clear water splashed lightly. He grasped the back of my neck. The kiss came suddenly. Here, I'll skip the part about the antidote's effects wearing off, which nobody likes to read about. It felt like I was being rescued from a torrential sea. My mind started to regain a slight semblance of clarity. And then, with all the reality of the moment, I slapped him hard across the face. His head turned sharply to one side. Zhou Qingchuan's features are strikingly handsome in an aggressive way, his eyelashes extraordinarily long. From my angle, they were dotted with fine droplets of water. He let out a laugh, like a flower suddenly blooming in ruins. You really know how to use and discard. The sound of trickling water still echoed around the bathroom. Through the shimmering reflection, I looked into his eyes, hiding countless secrets. Zhou Qingchuan, why did you guide Lin Xiaomiao? Whether it's because you pity her past self, or you genuinely fell for her. Zhou Qingchuan, if you have her in your heart, when it comes time to choose between us, don't choose me. I'm not someone who is very emotional, even after pondering most of my life. I still don't understand what liking someone truly means, but I view everything the same way. I want it all, the very best. If he is distracted, then he is worthless to me. And I am not lacking in worthless things. Lin Huan, his eyes clouded over with darkness, impenetrable. We've both been given a second life. We both know what the best path forward is, don't we? What? Is your logic telling you not to repeat the mistakes of your past life? Then just leave. I splashed water at him. He didn't dodge. Instead, he continued to look at me with those pale, sad eyes. Juan, he called me, the name lingering on his lips, grinding away disappointment and resentment. It's not me who's repeating the same mistakes, it's you, stubbornly following the same dark path, unwilling to repent. Right, I froze, panic slowly magnifying within me. The man stood up, the world outside so dark, tied to his shadow. His gaze rested on me, my thoughts in turmoil. Next time don't let Director Wang handle things. He's too careless. He didn't dispose of the medication packaging properly. In the quiet of the bathroom, I listened to his every word, striking deep into my heart. That medication came from your lab, didn't it? He couldn't have known the formula before our collaboration. Today, so many saw me protecting you. That should be enough for you. With those words, the man left the bathroom. I lay alone in the bathtub, half submerged in darkness. I looked up, staring at the gloomy ceiling. Yes, that's enough. I can't lose. Director Wang might look a decade or two older than me, but he was actually my college classmate. Everything today was orchestrated by me. I gambled on whether Zhou Qingchuan would save me publicly. If he saved me, it would prove that our relationship wasn't as fractured as it seemed. And I could use him again as a leverage for my comeback. I won the bet. Now, there are probably many partners eager to contact me and restart collaborations. But why am I so afraid? The way Zhou Qingchuan looked at me when he left, I suddenly realized, my heart. It turns out I can also be so disoriented and panicked because of his disappointment. Destruction at the root is the relentless redemption of the soul. Why do villains in movies and dramas live so long? Perhaps they are just like me, shameless. Having abandoned too much, as the year draws to a close, my position has finally been solidified once again. Lin Xiaomiao messed up several collaborations, and eventually, my father, the capitalist, shifted his focus back to me. Things were supposed to progress positively from here, but unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, I had made too many mistakes and enemies in my past life. So, after 3 consecutive social gatherings, on my way home at midnight, I was abducted by several men in baseball caps and shoved into a white van without feeling any surprise. Who ordered you to kidnap me? I can offer twice the money. No, 3 times. Unequal negotiations always revolve around pleasing the other party. So as I was pushed into the vehicle, my mind was rapidly spinning. Unfortunately, they were unmoved, and suddenly a knife was pressed against my throat. TCH. They weren't after money, but my life. May I ask whom have I offended? Before I could finish my sentence, the knife had already pierced slightly into my skin. I shut up as a voice modified by a voice changer echoed in my ear. Don't worry, I don't want your life. I just need you to do something for me. The blade traced my veins, constantly reminding me that my life was hanging by a thread. Now, call Zhou Qingchuan. Ask him for the key to the YDX2 formula. YDX2, I remember. This anti-cancer drug was about to be launched, spearheaded by Zhou Qingchuan. Its release could potentially revolutionize the fields of medicine and pharmacy. Unfortunately, in my past life, both Zhou Qingchuan and I died on the eve of its launch. I was killed in a car accident on the way to the launch event, and he died running into the blazing inferno to embrace me, disregarding his own safety. We're not buddies. I'm just his ex-wife. Do you think I can get something so important? But hearing the kidnapper's demand almost made me laugh. It might be the illusion I created that deceived them, making these people think that Zhou Qingchuan was still the same person I could summon or dismiss at will. Only I knew that even if I died now, it wouldn't cause him a ripple. Tell him you've been kidnapped. Tell him you're going to die. The blade finally drew a line of blood along my neck. The man eased up a bit, then pressed the knife tip against my chest. I really had no choice, from his tone. He wasn't lying. If I couldn't get the key, I definitely wouldn't survive the night. But YDX2 was essentially all of Zhou Qingchuan's life's work. Those people wanted the formula probably to launch it before he could. If I actually managed to get it, it would ruin Zhou Qingchuan's life, the brilliant and great future of Professor Zhou. Compared to the life of a villain like me, it was clear I should sacrifice myself. But unfortunately, as I said, I'm a selfish person. Give me the phone. I can only say I'll try my best. The man seemed pleased with my compliance. Before the call connected, I prepared myself. First, I needed to use a perfectly pitched crying tone, then add a tremble to my voice. Say to him, Zhou Qingchuan, I'm about to die. Please save me. Because he always fell for my act of submission. This way, the chances of success might not be 70 or 60%, but definitely 30 or 40. But the moment the call connected, my mind went blank. Hello. Hearing his softly responding voice reminded me that it had been 4 months since we last spoke. I thought for a long time, Lin Huan, shouldn't you be the most selfish person? Lin Huan, don't you care about your own life? Lin Huan, you already owe Zhou Qingchuan so much. What's a little more? But in the end, as I looked up at the moon outside the window, tonight's moonlight was just too beautiful. I said, Zhou Qingchuan, happy birthday. I said, you're such a fool. Lucky that today happens to be your birthday. Don't fall for me in your next life, dummy. I lunged towards the tip of the knife, wondering what the greatest failure in life is. A miserly, selfish ghost. One day, I gave everything generously. It's so shameful. I've thought about being a good person. If I were born into an ordinary family, with a father and a mother, if I hadn't been kicked and pushed around by everyone from childhood, it's not that I don't want to be a good person. It's just that if I've lived until now, I couldn't possibly be a good person. But the definition of a good person varies from person to person. I bankrupted a company, sparing its owner the pain of experiencing its future failure. Am I not a good person? I'm too good, actually. However, I think Zhou Qingchuan is a good person in the conventional sense. After all, he's lived an upright life, never doing a single despicable thing. So, when he got close to me, all I could think about was destroy him. Destroy him. I couldn't destroy him. He's incorruptible, a world apart from me. I remember one night, after we became an item, he rose from me. I suddenly hooked my arms around his neck, our faces so close, his breath on my face, his intense gaze burning into me. Would you love me, even if I were a bad woman? I asked him, almost playfully. His Adam's apple bobbed gently. Then he stared at me, his sincere black eyes fixed on me. He said, I would. His fingertips touched the most sensitive part of my spine, biting my shoulder, softly enduring. When have you ever not been a bad woman? So I had already ruined him. There was no denying it. The world changes. I don't believe in 100% true feelings in this world. The only thing I'm sure of is his love for me. He managed to do something so difficult. So, if one day my broken life could have a glorious end, then I would reluctantly allow him to give it a grand finale. I stared at the ceiling, moving up and down. Is this heaven? Impossible. Not because heaven looks too much like a ship's hold, but because of the person sleeping next to me. How could Zhou Qingchuan and I possibly end up in the same place after death? You're awake. The person next to me glanced at me lightly, then pulled the slightly slipped blanket back over my shoulders. Where are we? On the high seas. We're probably approaching Copenhagen soon. That's quite a drift. Why didn't I die? You want to die that badly? I turned to look at him, his eyes dark, his complexion not so good, and his gaze a bit fierce. I raised my hand, stroking his stubble. So you came to save me after all. What's the cost? Zhou Qingchuan, give up the identity of a medical scholar, hand over YDX2, never to involve in this field again, nor step half into the country's territory. Right. I turned my head, the ship's rail framing the surging waves. The ones who orchestrated my kidnapping were led by my father. I should have known. My rights are too heavy. He needed to pave the way for his own daughter. In the end, I'm still just a stray dog that anyone can kick around. The sea breeze carried a faint, moist scent. I leaned next to him, tightening the blanket around me. Zhou Qingchuan, don't you have even the slightest grievance? He stared at me. Ah Huan. There are many things that I just do if I feel like doing them. I've tried taking a different path in life, but it wasn't what I wanted. In this world, everything is rigidly defined, everything in black and white. But for you, I can break all the rules. In the dimly lit cabin, he gently touched my hand. If it means following a path to the end with you, then I'm ready to spend another lifetime by your side. I'm so infatuated with you, especially when you gave up your life for me. I really hate myself. My life is already a mess. What does it matter if I let go of my pride for you? He asked me what I was smiling about. I just think, this world is hellishly fair. I looked up. I have nothing left, but I still have you. You have everything, yet you're stuck with me. I quietly said to myself, Zhou Qin Chuan, let's not meet in the next life. I rubbed the tips of his fingers, then our fingers intertwined. This lifetime, let me protect you. Letter to Lin Huan. Yesterday, Mrs. Smith next door told me she saw you pacing at the garden gate for a long time before heading home. This morning, you rushed out of the door without a word, using grocery shopping as an excuse. I think you must have heard the news from across the ocean. YDX2 is indeed my life's work, and I had anticipated the unprecedented success it would bring to the Lin family. To be honest, I find the torment of not having spoken to you for 11 whole hours far greater than seeing my efforts used by others. I know we feel differently about matters of the heart. You can't understand my love for you, a feeling that for me transcends conventional meaning and even life and death. Therefore, you don't need to worry about hurting me. After all, your mere attention is a gift enough for me. You hid in your room last night and cried. I heard it. I felt contempt mixed with pity and annoyance, yet also a thrill in my heart. It shows that you care about me, and this slight concern makes me tremble with excitement. Almost desperate to hold you and kiss you, I constantly suppress these pathological, frantic thoughts, an assault of my mind upon you, my sin. So, you don't need to blame yourself. You don't need to. Just keep doing what you want to do, whether it's being flamboyant or humble, as long as it's what you want. By the way, to answer a question you always ask, why did I fall in love with you? I've said it many times before. That day, when your father brought you to the door. Your brown scarf gently slipped from your shoulders. I saw you. What I mean is, loving you needs no reason. Because it's you, there's never been a reason.